Merry Christmas, everyone. It's not Christmas yet, but it's pretty much coming up quicker than any of us could have anticipated. Heard some nice sleigh bells right there to get us into the festive spirit. I myself am someone who enjoys Christmas very much. Halloween is definitely my number one, but Christmas is a close second. And I've always loved it. You know, it's a fucking cheery time. Like, I've always been a fan. I've always loved the whole, I like cold weather. I like snow. So that adds to it. But, you know, Christmas tree is dope. Last night I ripped all my Christmas shit out. And Antoinette is like a Grinch. And she doesn't like Christmas really. And she doesn't like decorating for Christmas. So, you know, if I wasn't going to do it, it wasn't going to get done. So I have a Christmas tree that was my grandfather's. It's definitely very unique. It is like probably a 3.5 foot tree that has like all different color fiber optics, so you can't really see any of the ornaments on it, you know, but it serves its purpose. You know, it flickers, it looks cool, but old as hell, and it's very near and dear to my heart. So every time I get to put it up for Christmas, you know, it reminds me of him, makes me think about him. So that's pretty cool. And you know, I like having my own home and putting up some shit. You know, it's cozy as hell up in here. Michael Patrick came over, and that's the first thing he said. He was like, "It's pretty cozy up in here." And I was like, you know, I try to make it cozy. I'm a cozy guy. I like to be cozy. But yeah, Christmas is coming up. You know, I got in the spirit a little bit. I put on the Santa Claus with Tim Allen. You know, Tim Allen is a gangster. He really is. If you Google Tim Allen mugshot photo, a photo comes up of a young Tim Allen with a insane, very respectable mustache. And the story behind that photo is Tim Allen was smuggling cocaine on an airplane, which is super bizarre to think about because, you know, you think of tool time and, you know, you think of the Santa Claus. But, you know, I don't think of Tim Allen sniffing a bunch of coke. That's exactly what I don't think of. But he is, you know, he's the man. And the Santa Claus is up there, top 3 for sure, right behind the Gremlins. And I guess I don't know what the other top 3 is. You know, it's actually a real sick movie that I'm excited to watch this year is Krampus. If you guys have not got to see Krampus yet, you know, I was skeptical about it at first. I was like, I don't really care for this shit. You know, I'm hit or miss with that Adam Scott guy, but that movie's an instant classic. It has the same feel of like a Gremlins type movie. So definitely check that out. And definitely can't forget about Christmas Vacation. That's on the list too. Christmas movies, man. Home Alone, Jingle All the Way. I'll go all day with them, and I'm gonna just try to cross as many off of my list as I can. You know what's real wild though. What's going on in the world is that "Baby It's Cold Outside" song. So if you haven't been brought to light on the situation, "Baby It's Cold," you know, "Baby It's Cold Outside," you know, that song has been in the news because the lyrics of it, I guess, are just mad creepy. I really don't, you know, I've sang that song hundreds of times, and I never really like took the time to like read the lyrics. And you know, after I heard about it, like being put in the newspaper about it being like super messed up, I was like, I'm gonna listen to it and read these lyrics, and I'm just like, it definitely is a little bit creepy, and I guess you could definitely see how people, I mean, you could definitely see how people like raise some questions about it. The lyrics are like, "Say what's in this drink," and back and forth, where a man tries to convince a woman to stay the night despite her continued protests. I really can't, and the answer is no. I mean, like, she definitely says that in the song, but, you know, the intent in the song doesn't sound like she was fighting off this guy, which, hey, you know, that's not my place to say, but I don't know. The song was fucking written in 1953. It's like back then it was a different world. 10, 15 years ago, it was a different world. Not saying that shit was right back then, but I guess that's a whole different topic. But, I'm going to listen to Christmas music. All right. Sorry, but I'm listening to Christmas music. Another quick thing I wanted to touch on, because I brought it up last week, was that TV show Crashing. Me and Antoinette finally finished season 2. We binged it in one day, and it's phenomenal. So if you guys are into like stand-up comedy or just like a good TV show, I don't even think you need to be into comedy. But Pete Holmes is a comedian. He's very well known. But this show it's kind of like an Entourage feel, where it's him coming up in the world of being a stand-up comic. It shows him barking outside on corners. Barking is like outside and handing out flyers to get people to come to shows. And like that's definitely like that's a thing that all new comedians have to do to try to, get viewers and shit. But the show was awesome. Definitely worth checking out. It's on HBO. But without further ado, I had an incredible conversation with an awesome person. He's a real good friend of mine. His name is Michael Patrick, and he is a very, very accomplished tattoo artist in the city of Pittsburgh. And, I've been going to him for about 10 years. It's weird every time I say that I've known someone, it always seems to be 10 years I've known them. But, I really have known him for 10 years. He's been tattooing me for that long. And, while you're getting tattooed, you're obligated to, you're not obligated, that sounds bad. Obligation is a forced situation, but like I'm privileged enough to be able to have great conversations with him while I'm getting tattooed. You're sitting there for 5 hours, dude's all up in your personal bubble. You got to talk to him. You got to pass the time. You're getting fucking needles jammed in your skin for hours. It sucks. So you want to try to get away a little bit, but Mike's just an awesome dude. Like, always been super open-minded, always been great to just talk to him about different things. And Jesus, he was on my original podcast that I did like 4 years ago. I did a podcast, if you guys didn't know, called The Pod Rats with my buddy Dylan, and I had him on there for that. And that was a whole fucking mess. We had no organization whatsoever. And it was just like he was on and we just bullshitted about random stuff. But I was excited to get him back in here and actually sit down and have a good conversation with him. So I know that you're going to enjoy it. I really love the conversation, and I think you will too. So without further ado, episode 48 of I'll Call You Right Back podcast with Michael Patrick.
Telephone.
Hello?
Telephone.
I'll call you right back. Call you right back.
Telephone.
I'll Call You Right Back podcast.
Some chick for someone so young to do what she has done so far, like, is pretty epic.
Yeah, dude. I think she's 104 dogs or 106 dogs, I think she said. And for her to help any dogs is a plus, like, that's dope. And for her to be able to manifest some shit, for her to be able to like make this happen, and for her to still be able to live, and her to still be able to actively like place these dogs that are, pit bulls or any of the bully breeds are like stigmatized, so it's harder to do that regardless.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool what she does. That's why I wanted to have her on here, because like my mom is a perfect example. Like my mom, she hated pit bulls, like anything like that. It's like never coming around my house, anything like that. And then, my brother and his wife started to get them, and she realized, like, my brother had these 3 dogs. He had a Cairn Terrier, a medium-sized pit, and then this bigger dog named Frank that was like kind of like a golden retriever looking thing, but it had the color of a Rottweiler. So once, like, my mom was fine with all 3 of those dogs, okay? The pit bull had to grow on her a little bit. She still wanted to allow it around her dogs or whatever, but once my brother's dog Frank passed away, he got this other dog named Mason. And this thing is like an 85-pound, just a fucking monster. Just this huge black dog. He looks like a hound from hell. And, you know, I told my mom, I was like, you know, Matt got a new dog. And she was like, what did he get? And I was like, oh, he got a big-ass pit bull. And she went, what? And she was so nervous about it, like sick. She was like sick to her stomach about it. I'm like, it ain't even a big deal. The dog is literally like, you know, I went up and I seen it, and you can immediately tell. I feel like sometimes it not, but like you could just tell the vibe of a dog. Like he was just cool. Like he came up, started licking you. Like he just got out of the pen. You know, he was decompressing. And I told my mom this, and, you know, after, you know, fast forward, she loves the dog now. She fucking loves him.
Yeah.
And he's just this big slug that just like wants to love you and lay with you. And I know you have a dog. I know you have one too.
That's all I get is pit bulls, man. It's
big as hell.
Yeah.
Now, how old's your dog?
He's they say he was 6 when I got him, but I've had him for about 2 years now. But with their energy level, it's
hard to tell.
Really hard to tell. But he's, like I said, I had to change my whole family's outlook on pit bulls too. I've been volunteering with Hello Bully for a really, really long time.
Yeah. I remember you did that
10,
tattoo.
11 years.
You do that tattoo day.
Yeah.
Where they tattoo. It was a picture of a pit bull's face, and that money goes towards Hello Bully.
That is actually graduated to like any type of dog, like image.
Oh,
like,
really?
We have a huge flash sheet now to do that.
That's awesome.
So you could come every single year and still get something different to honor. We didn't actually do one this year though.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure why. But I think it was just everyone was super busy with things. I did donate to the gala, of course, but yeah, dude, pit bulls are amazing.
Yeah,
I wish there was more that I could do, but
and it's a shame because like you see, and you know, it's fucking heartbreaking on Facebook to like see, because you know, Facebook is a blessing and a curse. If you see a dog that's like, oh, this dog needs placement right now, people just hit share. But then like all these people see that dog, and if you can't do nothing for it, you just think about it and it breaks your heart.
Yeah.
And you see about I read something today with them wildfires, like 250 animals burned and got killed in them fires at an animal shelter.
You know why? Because people just assume like, oh, it's an animal, it's going to know what to do, it's going to run. But they're just like, my dog would not leave the house if there was a fire. He would be like, no, my owner's supposed to come get me. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, for real?
Right back here. Yeah. Like he's loyal. You know, why would he run away from where he knows that I'm supposed to be?
Yeah, absolutely.
And
she has a lot of good information just because, and that's another point of like bringing different people on here. Like she has a different database to pull from as far as knowledge that other people could be exposed to. Like, you know, I always, like we were talking about at the end of the podcast about bait dogs, and she was like, there's really not a bait dog. And she like gave her explanation of it. And I was like, wow, that's like, that definitely makes sense. But, you know, those are just things that, you know, I have ingrained in my head. You hear it one time and you're just like, oh, that's gospel. But that's the reason I have people on here, just to talk about shit.
There's, and you know, and people like her, and other people that run these things, they do have another set of knowledge. Like, you know, when I would take my dog out for a walk, I would be like, no, we're going here. You know, you pull on the leash, you get them to go where you want.
Yeah.
But you forget it's like you're yanking on them, you know, like let them look around. And the one lady explained it to me like, if you spend all your time scrolling through Instagram, that's basically what a dog's doing when he's sniffing every bush. He's like, oh, who's this person? Oh, what did they leave? And, you know, like, I don't know. Would you want to walk around with someone like yanking on your neck all the time?
Yeah,
like
telling you where to go all the time.
You almost have to give them a little bit of room to breathe, to discover, get wrinkles on their brains. Like,
yeah, to be able to understand some shit.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're walking by, if you're walking down a sidewalk and a dog catches a whiff, that's a cool way to think about it.
Yeah, they're
like
just
looking
"What
at
is this?"
Instagram.
Yeah, they get excited.
And for them to not be able to just run over and just give them a quick sniff of it and then just be done with it.
Yeah.
For us to just be like, nah, I ain't got time for you to like walk over there.
If you think about it, I mean, they're stuck in a house most of the day.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of stimulation.
That's
And
why I
so-
don't have a dog now, dude. It's
Yeah.
like I would love to have a dog. Antoinette wants a dog so bad, and technically I'm not allowed to have one in this house, but you know, I myself will love a dog and give a dog a great life here, but I just know that it's just like, it's not fair right now. Like I'm just not home all the time. It's like
it's good that you know that.
Yeah,
because I can't get my dog I can't walk my dog every day, which sucks, but I can for a half hour teach him tricks, which is almost the equivalent of exercising him, getting him interest. So that's pretty much what I can do.
Yeah, stimulate his mind a little bit. Let him think about some shit.
He does. He just sits around in the house all day, just staring at the same shit all day.
Good. It's nuts to think about that. And it's
I do stir crazy too.
Right? Just sitting there all day. Then her talking about like whenever I was younger, we had a choker collar for my big black lab. Like I would walk this black lab and he was built like a brick shithouse. So like I was a younger kid walking him and he would have this choker chain on him. And she talks about how like choker chains, and they do that program where you go and you could turn in your spike collar and they give you a harness, which is incredible because like back then, like no one was telling me don't put a spike collar on a dog. And you're sitting there thinking of it like, wow, like that fucking thing gotta hurt.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, that shows you how much more progressive we're becoming.
That goes on every aspect that you could ever learn. There's always like a better way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so last podcast I forgot to do the opening segment. I do opening segment. It's called "What's in the Cup." What's in the cup? So what is in your cup?
This Zenergy.
Yeah.
Mango guava. I started drinking energy drinks just because I it gives you a little boost. I stopped drinking coffee.
You stopped?
Yeah, I stopped drinking coffee.
Why?
Because you never know what's good for you and what's bad for you. So I decided to just go strictly chemicals. You know what I mean? Because that way, at least I know what's happening. Right? I already know that they're bad, so let's just roll with it.
That's funny.
But when I was in one of my trips to Hawaii, I was like, we had been out swimming all morning, and then I went to the shop to do some tattoos, and I was like, man, I need a pick me up.
Yeah.
And as soon as I grabbed it, I was like, this thing is delicious. And I felt like I just was hooked. And then I came back to the mainland and I checked every single gas station. I went on their website. The only places that had them was GNC.
Oh,
because
really?
I guess they don't have a whole lot of chemicals in them. I think a lot of it is just this vitamins.
Yeah.
And so then I went to my local gas station. It's on my way to work, and I was like, "Hey, man, you need to buy these." And they basically just buy them and keep them stocked for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I should have just ordered cases of my own.
I'm gonna try it out. All right.
Go ahead. It's delicious, man.
Zions Energy Mango Guava, 0 calories, 0 sugar. All right, here we go. That's a good one. That got a good taste.
Tasty, right?
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm not super huge into carbonation. If I do grab an energy drink, it's usually one of the Monster Rehabs. The double, like the triple X poison, like that shit. That's killing me immediately. But I like that because it's like a tea. It's marketed as a tea.
Okay.
So it doesn't have any carbonation, but like that shit doesn't do too much for me. Like I could drink probably 2 or 3 of them and it wouldn't do anything. But if I have a Red Bull, man, it feels like I just like what I would think crystal meth would be like. Because like you ever see that meme? It's a skeleton with its heart coming out of its thing, and it says you were hoping that the caffeine was going to wake you up, but in reality, it's just making your heart beat faster, and you're still just as tired. Yeah, and that's exactly how I feel whenever I drink that stuff. So no coffee, huh? No, and I like carbonated drinks. Yeah, it's like the on-the-go toothbrush. You know what I mean? On-the-go toothbrush.
Enough carbonation, you just feel like your teeth are clean again.
Yeah, it takes away that top layer.
If it cleans a battery, it should clean my teeth too.
You see in videos online of like Monster using to like scrub toolboxes and shit, and you're just like, Jesus. Okay, so you are the only other person that's been on this podcast that was on my original podcast. Yeah. Very excited to have you back on.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're an interesting dude. You've, how long have we known each other? Probably 10 years?
I would say that, yeah.
I think you started tattooing me in 2008.
Yeah.
Had to be somewhere around there.
Maybe even, yeah, I would say if not earlier than that.
Yeah, because I wasn't in school. I wasn't in high school. It was definitely after that, and I graduated
shop
in
was that at?
2008. That was at Jester's.
We started, yeah.
We started at Jester's. The first day was Dracula, and I think you started outlining the Swamp Monster, maybe, but that was my first tattoo of all time.
Yeah.
And I knew you were the right guy. I hit you up and I said, I want to get a tattoo of a movie. You probably never seen it, called The Monster Squad. And you were like, fucking love it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And that's what it's been ever since. So you have since moved to two different tattoo shops?
Yeah. Yeah.
And now you're in your home base.
Yeah, which is the perfect place for me. You know what I mean? Working for myself is just such a game changer.
Yeah.
You know, as far as like being able to grow and move and not have to worry about anyone else.
Yeah, do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah. I mean, that's honestly, that's the key, is just being like, oh, I don't have to work today. I'm going to go home.
Yeah, I'm going to take a break.
Like,
no one else is here. I'm going to take a break. You don't have shit going on.
Oh, there's times where I've like, just shut the shop down and took a nap, man. Fuck it.
Oh, you can't beat that.
Wait for my next appointment.
I fell asleep on them tattoo tables before. Now, you have, for people that don't know, Michael Patrick is a very, very great tattoo artist in the city of Pittsburgh.
Thank you.
Now, how many years have you been doing this?
I've been tattooing around 15 years.
15 years.
Yeah, 15 years, give or take. I don't really know when to count when I started tattooing. Like, there was a time where I was doing like scratcher tattoos, and then there was a time where I'm like, I'm a professional tattooer now, but I'm still doing garbage tattoos.
What's scratcher tattoos?
Like shit out of your kitchen. You know what I mean? Like, no one would give you a job, and you got to make some money on the side. Like, if you forget where you came from, man, then you're not really sure where you're going. So,
absolutely.
I would say I've been tattooing with a solid mind for tattooing, maybe 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
That's when it clicked, and I was like, you know what? I have to like put more into this. I can't just go and like tattoo that shit off the wall and be happy, take my money and go drink afterwards. I have to settle down and see where this is going to take me, and that's when like things really started taking off for me.
Well, if you think about like, being the type of guy that's just at your random, highly populated area that just takes walk-ins, people point off the wall, that's like working for a corporate company.
Yeah.
You have no like creative control, I feel. I mean, you're doing all the work, but you're not doing it for yourself, I feel. And if you're just doing stuff that you want to do, like right now, would you say that, do you take walk-ins?
I don't.
Yeah, I didn't think you did.
No, and that's only because I want to draw everything.
Yeah.
I want to be in control from start to finish. As far as like, if they say, hey man, I want a skull. I'm like, well, what can we do with the skull?
Yeah.
How do we make the skull dynamic? What are you willing to let me do? And kind of pull it out. If they're just like, I just want a black and gray skull, that's kind of like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you can still draw that skull by, maybe tilting the jaw a little bit more, playing with it. That's stuff that you can't really do on the fly when someone comes in.
Yeah.
And that's what separates artists.
You don't have like flash sheets as far as things that you could pick from in your shop.
No.
It's just your favorite artwork that you have hung up.
Yeah.
And I think like from my point of view as someone who gets tattoos, I think that at first glance lets you know that like who is, kind of real about it. As far as like just going into a random spot on Carson Street and there's just like a bunch of random ass shit with a bunch of random ass people, like it's cool. And like I was thinking about this earlier, you have your own spots, just you there. I think that's just more comfortable for a client. You know what I mean?
It is. Yeah, it definitely is.
It's definitely like more of it feels like you're part of that place a little bit rather than just like going in and saying, hey man, like nice to meet you. Let me get this fucking, barbed wire off of this wall. And
that's straight from the 90s.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
But you know what? There is something to say about street shops with a lot of artists. I do sometimes miss working with a lot of artists because it is just dick and fart jokes all day long, and you have a really good time.
Yeah.
But you, like I said, you don't really get to be creative as much as you would like to. And the more you want to be creative, the more you have to like Jerry Maguire yourself and say, you know what, I have to take less clients so I can start doing more of what I want.
That makes sense.
There's power in no.
Yeah, that makes sense. You have to know when to say no.
Yeah.
It's like whenever you could cross that whenever you first start out in a position, you're always like, oh yeah, give me any work that I could get. I'm just happy to be getting paid for the thing that I want to do.
Yeah.
But once you could cross that line where you could say like, yeah, I could do that tattoo, but you can go ahead. Like there's other people that will do that would want to do that a little bit more than I am.
And you know what, dude, I'll tell you, that pisses people off.
Turning people away?
Some people, when you turn it down, they're just like angry about it. I've gotten I've gotten one really, really bad review on like Google.
Really?
And that dude like copy and pasted it on every single like social media he could find with me on it.
Because you turned down doing his work?
Well, it wasn't even that I turned it down. It was that like I said, here are the limits that we could do with your tattoo.
Yeah.
And what he wanted was so far beyond. So I was like, I don't think that that's something I can do. And he just like blew his lid.
Ain't that crazy? Nowadays we're living in a world where like if you catch someone on a bad day, they could destroy your whole entire
Oh yeah. That's all he wanted to do at that point.
persona online.
Like, bash everything that I've worked so hard for on something like Yelp, you know what I mean? Which is like the worst like platform in my eyes. Like a guy spends all his money opening up a restaurant.
Yeah.
And then some dude has like doesn't particularly like a taste, so he can bash the shit out of it.
Yeah, it's insane to think about that because like, that doesn't reflect an entire business.
Yeah.
If you have one day where you get some cold food or some shit like that. And, I'm not someone who goes on Yelp. Like, as far as I'll do is I'll Google the name of the restaurant and I'll just see how many stars it has. But I don't go in and read people's reviews because, like, people are just like, people nowadays just want things to complain about.
Oh, for sure.
It's like, I didn't get enough ice in my water. Like,
yeah. The waitress wasn't standing behind me the whole time waiting to refill.
You know what I mean? No eye contact or some dumb shit like that. Like, I wish I had time to make an account on Yelp and be able to like write paragraphs long. Oh, this wasn't good. But like, dude, just give it a break. Yelp people. I have a real serious. It's so annoying to me that like anyone you look at, I can't remember who I looked at the other day, but I know it was my podcast. Every single review I had was 5 stars except for one, and it came like probably 3 or 4 or 5 weeks ago. And the dude said, "I listened to this podcast with so and so, less saying that's what's up because in the beginning, that's all I would do. I would be so worried about thinking of the next." Question. I would listen to your answer and I would go, "That's what's up." Anyway, and but you know what I mean? This was podcast number 8. It's like, dude, listen to like 40. Listen to podcast 40 instead of giving me a fucked up review. It wasn't even fucked up. He gave me 4 stars, but like 1 4-star review. Like, listen down the line a little bit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Just one bad experience. Yeah, it's insane. So you've been doing this for 15 years. I remember we talked about this before, but I don't remember. So you growing up, what was your initiation to the art world?
I was always an artist.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much what I did. My brother did a lot of drawing, and I would just copy everything that he drew.
Yeah.
I think what really got me into tattooing was just seeing other people with tattoos and how badass they looked.
Yeah.
They just like demanded attention. They were just covered in tattoos. They said, "Here's the line of society and here's the fringe, and you get to choose just visually which side you want to be on." And I was like, I want tattooed. I don't want to be a part of any of that norm. Like, and it all stems from like when you grow up. Like a lot of people are like, "Oh, I want to, I'm going to go to college, and then, after high school, I'm going to travel the world." And no one really ever does any of that. It's really rare that they do that. And I think that was my drive was, I'm just going to break away from the norm. And tattooing just seemed to be like that open door.
Yeah.
You know, when I got my hands tattooed and my face tattooed, that's when I closed that door to society. And I was like, this is it for the rest of my life.
Yeah, committed.
Yeah, yeah.
That makes sense. Now, you started drawing and shit ever since you were like, since you can remember, long ago?
Oh, yeah. I was drawing like G.I. Joes and comic books. I guess I started with comic books. I wanted to be a comic book artist.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
And then I met my favorite comic book artists, and they were just like, I wouldn't draw comics if I was you. There's just too many of us. Like, it's a drown, situation. You're better off like just
what comic
finding
was
something
it?
Else. It was actually when Image first started.
Yeah.
When Jim Lee left Marvel and went over and started Image, and with Spawn. And,
okay. I was gonna say I don't even know what Image is, but I remember like all the Spawn and all that shit.
That was like almost like the first comic that Image put out was Spawn, and then they put out like the Savage Dragon, Wildcats.
I was never big into it. My brother had some comic books. I remember he had X-Men, and I remember some Spider-Man shit. But like, I remember the only comics that I myself remember buying whenever I was younger was like Beavis and Butthead comics. I remember I bought those, and I remember I bought some Puppet Master comics.
Okay.
And some, they weren't Night of the Living Dead, but they were some sort of zombie comics. But that was probably it. That was like one thing in my life that I never like fell into was comic books.
Yeah.
I guess I did actually. I bought Fight Club whenever that came out like a few years ago. I bought that whole series.
Trade paperback, or was that a?
No, they all came out in individual issues, and they were really good. I bought them because Chuck Palahniuk was like actively involved in it, so I was like, oh, this will be good, and it's worth. They were like $3 a piece. I thought they were cool, but it was just I was never really a big reader.
I'm not either.
Yeah,
but comics are about my extent of reading.
Yeah.
After that, I'm just like, books on tape.
So you were pretty into it whenever you were younger, as far as like comic books and the whole like.
Yeah, I actually worked at a comic book store for a while.
Oh yeah,
like as like my first job.
That's awesome.
And then of course it quickly closed down because no one was buying comics anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I went on to. I think my second job was landscaping, so it was kind of like a leap. My soft little hands had to learn how to pull weeds.
That's the worst thing ever. Pulling weeds and weed whacking were my least favorite things to do in landscaping.
Yeah.
Hated it. Am I wrong? Did you grow up in Florida?
I did.
Okay, so you grew up in what part of Florida?
Well, it's called St. Cloud, which is like a suburb of Kissimmee, which is like outside of Orlando, and then of course Cocoa Beach.
Yeah, right around there.
Yeah.
And how long did you live down there till?
I finished high school down there. Actually, I almost finished high school down there. I went and decided to just go get my GED, which for everyone listening, I was the valedictorian of my GED class, which is a big honor for me. And but probably from like the time when I was 8 till I was 19, I lived down there.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
And now I feel like that I remember from our last podcast you telling me that. Now, did you have like a positive or a negative experience with school? I thought you said you had a negative one. Is that right?
I guess it would have been neutral.
Yeah.
Like I got invited to parties, but I never went to parties.
Okay.
Like I was super elusive because my friends that were my best friends, they were super elusive. So it's like almost by association.
Yeah, yeah.
Even if I wanted to go to a party, they're like, no, we're going to go skate instead. And I'm like, all right, I guess we're going to go skate. And then you just, like, Monday rolls around and everyone's talking about, like, parties and what happened. And they're like, what did you do? And I was like, I sweated my ass off skating and, like, drinking 2 liters of, Dr. Pepper and smoking Camel Reds.
Yeah, sitting at one manual pad for, like, 8 hours.
Yeah.
Not even being able to land nothing.
Yeah, it's getting up my knee a bunch, but
that's the same way that it was for us growing up. It was just like, I didn't really go to a bunch of parties. I didn't drink, but like we would just go fuck around and skate. Someone had a mini ramp at their house.
Yeah.
My buddy Shane had like a he had his whole basement, and it was kind of like the chill zone. Like everyone would go there, and there was like no adult supervision. Do whatever the hell you want. So it was always a fun time. But I don't remember like, we were never like going to a bunch of different parties on Friday. We were always just hanging out together somewhere.
Yeah. I've never been to a school dance or
Really?
a football game or any school activity ever.
Did you play sports in high school?
I not in high school or for high school, but
Yeah.
I did softball, which only lasted about 6 games.
Oh, yeah?
And then I just walked off. I was like,
Fucking, I'm done with it?
yeah. I got yelled at one too many times for taking my hat off.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you ever played sports, it's like, oh, that's part of the uniform.
Yeah, you can't take your helmet off for football.
Yeah, so I had my ball cap on, and they put me in right field, right? Because nothing goes to right field. But this dude pops one up, and I'm right under it. I'm finally gonna make a play, and I'm running for it, and my hat blows off. So I stop and I run back to pick up my hat, and the ball drops on the ground, and I run over and I pick up the ball and I toss it in, and my coach lost his shit. And I was like, you've been screaming at me for 6 games about taking off my hat in the blistering Florida sun where you're just sweating. And I was like, you know what?
Done with it.
Yeah, I don't know your rules. So I just left.
Yeah, it was always just 3 days football camp. You take your helmet off, put that back on. You're a pussy if you take your helmet off. And nowadays, we got all this that movie Concussion and
Yep.
all the CTE shit, and they're just run as hard as you can at someone. It doesn't matter if you're hurt, play through it. You're just wow, we were all wrong.
Yeah.
I was just talking about that to someone. Never in my life of all my football career, I've never heard anyone even mention anything about it doing negative to your brain. It's common sense now, almost in hindsight, that it's fucking something up there. But all of it was I was right on the line of that, rub some dirt in it and get back out there.
Yeah.
You're just you guys are fucking nuts. And now you wonder why I have headaches and shit.
Right. Yeah, right.
So what's it like? What's it like for you as an artistic kid in school? Was there a lot of shit to do? Did you because I know in my high school we had there was always art shit going on, always art fairs and different people were always doing big ass murals and shit like that. Was there a good outlet in high school for you to do artwork?
No, there was nothing like that.
Really?
They had a couple murals go up in the lunchroom.
Yeah.
But I was never one to be a part of that. All the stuff that I would have done, or I guess you submit images and they picked, which images they wanted to all paint up there, and nothing I drew would have made it up there ever, And at that time, it was all early 90s graffiti.
Oh yeah.
Which I still love to this day.
Yeah.
Big, huge bubble letters, tons of different colors.
Absolutely.
You always have a weird character chilling at the end of it or something.
For sure.
And no matter how PC or educational directed I would have drawn it, it never would have made it.
Yeah, no matter what, that's looked down upon. Any sort of graffiti style is looked down upon, even nowadays. But then you have people like Baron Batch. You know who that is?
Yeah.
So, I'm friends with a lot of kids in the graffiti world, and I know that they do not like Baron Batch or what he stands for. And at first, I never really understood why, but I kind of do after talking to them a little bit. And it's like you were saying, all the graffiti shit is so looked down upon. Even nowadays, even if it's something beautiful and very well done, it's still looked down upon because it's a violation. But then you have someone like this who was just some dude that's going out there putting some random shit on a wall that's not getting in trouble for anything really, just because he played for the Steelers for a little bit. Yeah. It's a little bit weird of a world.
It's all about your credibility, I guess.
Yeah, credibility. And I don't think it helps that the graffiti artists want to stay infamous almost. No one puts a face to the name. It's all more just where we could get the tag, when we could how blatant. I mean, I guess I've been trying to get someone on here, one of my buddies that I know who does it, but it's hard for them to come on and like kind of talk about it because it's a lot of money they're tied up with. Like he could never say his name or what he writes or anything like that because these fucking people want to charge them, $500,000 worth of vandalization crimes and shit like that.
And I think that's the thrill, right? Isn't that the rush?
Yeah, it's part of it.
Getting out there and hitting a wall, just tagging it and going.
Yeah, because like people, I know that not Banksy, but the Obey guy was like, people hated him. I remember that was like the first guy that the kids that I knew who did graffiti like hated because he was like a sellout, and it's because like you're not getting in trouble. You're not risking that trouble to put up your artwork. It's like you're not putting in your time. You're not paying your dues. But, it's a weird thing to like talk about and think about because eventually, like, isn't that the goal almost for people is to be able to paint what they want and monetize it in a way where people enjoy it and they can consume it. But I guess like with graffiti, it's a little bit different. It's more just about the art of getting out there and doing it and staying, infamous while you're doing it.
I think that's the thrill.
Yeah, that makes sense.
People like the guy that does the Obey, he was just basically putting up posters.
Yeah, that rice.
And I think a lot of people are like, yeah, that's kind of cheating. You know what I mean?
Definitely is cheating, I think.
Because I know there's a big difference between people that strictly use spray cans and people that use stencils.
Yeah.
I know stencils is like a huge no-no as far as that goes. But
it's a shortcut, though.
Yeah.
I guess the only thing that keeps them into the same umbrella is like being under, you're still risking to put shit up there, but you're not using artistic ability while you're risking all this if you're using a stencil. I don't know. It's all a bunch of like slippery slope.
Yeah.
It's everyone's splitting hairs and they all got their own morals and
it falls on to craftsmanship. When you see some of those guys using those spray cans, how they can make a tiny, thin, perfect line and then just blow it out into these huge ovals.
Them oversprays and shit. It's insane to look at. I'll get lost in Instagram for hours just watching people just do like little throws.
Yeah.
And it's I guess I'm just biased because like I love that style. Like I've always been like the real big, bold, colorful, all that shit. And I don't know. I don't understand how people don't find beauty in it, but what can you do? So did you ever think in high school that you would be tattooing?
No, it wasn't an option for me until after I was 18, till after I got my first one.
You weren't allowed to get like your tattoos.
No, my mom. No, I'm the first one in my entire family to ever get tattooed.
Me too.
And so when I came home, my mom was like, I hope you don't make a habit out of this. Like you're going to want a job one day.
After your first tattoo, she said this?
Yeah.
And you were 18.
She loves me. She's like my biggest fan. I've tattooed her.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I don't know, man. It wasn't until I saw someone else doing it that I knew that maybe I could do it. It's like weird technology that gets unlocked in your brain after you see it being done. And you're like, oh, why am I not tattooing? I should be doing this.
Yeah.
I could either be a starving artist or I could be a tattooer.
Yeah, make some shit happen.
Yeah.
Now, what was your first tattoo?
That I got?
Yeah.
I almost don't know what to say. It was a Celtic cross on the top of my arm.
Oh yeah?
Very cliche.
That's all right.
Celtic.
That's all right.
Yeah.
You're an Irish man.
I'm not though. I'm not even Irish.
You're not an Irish man?
No.
What are you?
I'm Norwegian.
Are you?
Yeah, and like Swedish and probably North
So you're almost like a Viking almost.
Yeah. I mean, there's when we did the what is it, the hair test or whatever.
Yeah, 23, whatever
Yeah.
it's called.
Hardly any Irish even popped up in that.
Did you think you were Irish then?
I always, my entire life, thought I was Irish. I mean, look at me.
Okay, yeah, that's
Michael Patrick, freckles,
That's
redhead.
what I thought. That's what I was like. So you're technically now. Do you think that those are accurate?
I don't know, because it also said I was like 1/100th of a 1% Asian. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I don't see that at all. Like, how do you even calculate that math?
That's
You
the
know what
one
I mean?
line in your head or something.
Yeah,
like that.
like that's, I don't even know how that's calculated. Like,
I've always wondered if that's real or not, because like realistically, people could just be like, spitting in it. What did you have to do? Spit in a tube?
Yeah.
Yeah, spit in a tube, mail it out, and someone could just send you whatever.
Yeah. How are you going to fact check them?
Exactly.
Man? You just can't.
And that's why like I haven't done it yet, because I'm usually the typical consumer that's like, fuck yeah, I'm getting that. Like something cool's coming out, I'm trying it out. But I've been sketchy with that, because I'm just like, how do you know? Like, how are these people knowing? Like how do these people have the time to do all of these? And how does unless they have something where they could just pour some fucking spit in a little container and it spits it out, like almost in SpongeBob where he puts that Krabby Patty in there, half Krabby and half Patty or whatever, and you're just like, what the fuck? Like, but all these people were doing it. How much did it cost you?
I think it was only like $30.
Now, how many people do you think have done that in the
billions? Yeah.
Oh my god.
And I'm surprised more people aren't like, oh yeah, I'm from. There should be a lot more African in us, right? Because that's where we originated from.
Pretty much, right?
But that shows none of that.
Huh.
So
interesting.
I think if anything, it might start disputing religion. You know what I mean? Like,
that's a good point. That's a real good point.
Everyone comes from. I'm still amazed that I run into people that don't believe in evolution.
Oh my god, it's nuts. Did you come up religious whatsoever?
Oh, yeah.
What religion?
We were. I think it was just Christian. My grandmother was Catholic, so it was like, I'm not a little bit of both.
I'm not super familiar. Like, did you go to Sunday school?
Oh yeah,
like confirmed and everything.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
Baptized, all that.
Now, was that like the end of your religious stint?
Yeah, I think as I got older and I started questioning things, none of it just made any sense anymore. So I just refused to believe any of it.
Yeah, I went up through 8th grade, got confirmed, and right after 8th grade, probably 9th and 10th grade, I didn't go to church or anything. We weren't really into it. It's just like we never went to church, but like I went to Sunday school. I got baptized and confirmed, which I didn't disagree with. I'm happy my parents did that and they gave me some sort of a base. But after that, I had a girl that I was like best friends with in high school, and she was a little bit reckless in the beginning of time, but she was like a born again Christian, and I got super curious about religion, probably 11th grade. And I remember one day just randomly, we had this conversation where at the end of it, I was like in tears. I was literally in tears. We're just sitting in her kitchen and we're just talking about religion, and I'm asking her just questions because like, I just wanted to know more about it. And what she was telling me, I remember she looked me dead in the face and was like, I was like, oh yeah, my mom and dad, like my mom went to church every once in a while. Like she's not super big into it. My dad, like he never goes. He's not into it whatsoever. Like I don't think he believes in any of it. But she straight up looked at me and said like, oh yeah, if your parents don't believe in religion, they're going to hell. Anyone that doesn't believe in it's going to hell. And I'm just like, really? So just because like I don't know, it's a whole different topic, but I don't know. At one point in life, I was almost super into it. Like I almost like took the plunge, but then I was like, let me step back a little bit and let me think a little bit. That's whenever I started listening to like Rogan and stuff. Yeah. And he kind of like threw a monkey wrench into the whole religious thing, because like everyone, I don't know. It's a wild topic if you meet someone that's like a super religious person that doesn't believe in evolution and believes in all the shit, because like you don't want to call them a fucking idiot to their face. And I'm not even calling them an idiot to their face necessarily, but like, if you meet someone that's like that, very rarely you could have a good conversation with that person where they won't just completely cast away any idea you have that doesn't fall under theirs.
Well, I mean, I look at just the universe and all its complications. That's where I am still at the age that I'm at, still trying to figure out what is out there. Yeah. Like part of the science that goes on in our universe actually makes me believe that there is a God. And then there's the other half that is just like, no, that can't be right. Like, I'm totally questioning, but I'm not smart enough to go through
exactly,
all the quantum timelines and the way everything works. Like here's this galaxy that's forever moving, and you can see the end of it, but you have to go faster than it to even get to the end of it, and it's 100 billion light years away. And here we are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's like, what the hell? Like, how is that even possible?
It's insane to think about it.
Yeah, it's almost too much to wrap your head around, and that's actually how I fall asleep at night.
Thinking about that?
I just wear myself down.
You just envision yourself being Matthew McConaughey in that ocean in the middle of Interstellar.
Yeah. Dude, that's like my favorite movie, honestly. I watch that thing when I fall asleep all the time.
We'll talk about that after this.
Okay.
Because I want to talk about that after. But, the religious shit is definitely wild. But we go full circle. You got that Celtic cross.
Yes.
That was your first tattoo.
Yeah.
Okay, which is understandable, completely understandable. Now, you were 18.
Yeah.
And your mother, you told her you were getting this tattoo?
Yeah, I had been telling her for like years that I was going to get tattooed.
Oh, so you wanted tattoos. You knew.
As soon as I saw people that had a lot of tattoos,
yeah,
I wanted tattoos. I wanted to draw tattoos. I just didn't think I could be the person that does them. You know, those guys were all, those jobs were taken by bikers and criminals, like the
stereotypical guy tattooing a Harley Davidson.
Yeah. Because even when you watch like the very first episode of The Simpsons, the guy who tattoos Bart is like this big biker dude.
Is that what happened in the first episode?
Yeah, the very first Simpsons episode was the Christmas episode where Bart got Mom tattooed on him, and then they got Santa's Little Helper.
Huh.
Which was like, I don't know, 30 years ago?
Had to be.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing, I'm not a fan of the show whatsoever.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I cannot do it.
It's not edgy enough for us, man. It's not.
It ain't. And it blows my mind that it's still on TV. Yeah. Just like King of the Hill. It was so fucking stupid that I could not, it would not stimulate my mind. Yeah. I like Family Guy every once in a while because it's kind of witty and like, but King of the Hill is just like dumb, God damn it, Bobby. Like there's nothing like, I don't know.
That's normal house life. I don't want to see that. I want to see something else.
But I think that right there shows you like, our society still like, I can't believe that South Park still makes it new shit all the time. I can't believe that that's still allowed to be on TV. And then again, I think about it, how the fuck is Simpsons still making it out there? Like it's wild to think about.
I think at this point, if you ever watch like a later episode of Family Guy, like they're basically just tossing shit together.
Oh, the same. Yeah. It's just,
and it's all like all weird factor now, Yeah,
they're running out of shit.
Yeah.
They got to just cut it off and just start something new.
Yeah, all that stuff needs to get ended.
Yeah, for sure. It makes sense. So how long after you became a tattoo artist did you tattoo your mother?
Actually, I tattooed her probably 3 years ago. So
it was a while.
It's been a long, long time.
Oh, wow.
And I put it off for like multiple years before that as well.
Now, was it her that just became curious and was like, oh, I think I might want to get a tattoo?
Yeah, after her accident, she basically was just like, you know what, I'm not going to listen to anybody else. I'm going to do all the stuff that I always wanted to do that everyone kept telling me.
Amateur move.
Right.
I had my fucking ringtone on.
Yeah, but with, and not to get too much on the subject, but, my mom growing up, being a mom, being a woman, a lot of closed doors for her. You know what I mean? She, she wasn't allowed to do a lot of things, she felt like, because it was so looked down for women to basically do anything out of the norm. So after her accident, she was like, you know what, I'm going to dread my hair and I'm going to get tattooed and I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want to do. And that's when she like came into her own.
When did this happen?
She had her accident in 2005. And then once she recovered from all that, it was pretty much as she was recovering, she was like, you know what, I just want to do what I want to do. I want to live this last bit of my life however I want to do it. And I'm not compromising for anybody. And that's pretty admirable.
Yeah.
Because I don't even live my life like that.
I mean, I don't know what it is, but I feel you would have to come to a close to death situation to be able to like rewire your brain.
Yeah.
and kind of have that feeling. And I feel like if you don't come to that, like you're never gonna you're never gonna realize that. Like there's people that say that they've almost died where their whole life is completely different now. I think in that moment something happens where your shit gets rewired in your head, and it's almost like there's different things that you want to live for. Like different things take precedent over the other things.
Yeah.
Instead of having a clean house, a spotless house, like you want to go like, try new shit, which makes sense. It definitely makes sense. I don't know. I feel like that's something that I'll never understand until, it comes to me though.
Yeah. I think a lot of that is people want to play it safe.
Yeah.
Like you want to get a good job, be able to have a nice house, pay for retirement, have stuff in your 401k, or you can live your life and blow all your money on trips and traveling and seeing the world. And then at the end of your life, if you're still alive, like you have to be like, well, fuck, I didn't save anything.
Yeah, if you're still alive.
So those are the pros and cons. You either want to waste your entire life so you can live easy at the end.
Yeah.
Or you just enjoy the entire youth that you have, and then maybe you'll have something at the end.
And that's the most difficult thing to decide is how you want to live, because there's, the world sets us up to be, go to school, do well in school, get a job, find a person to marry, have kids, keep working, retire, live for a few years and die.
Yeah.
But nowadays, like, I think it's so crazy the world we're living in, because like we have this computer in our hands at all times, and this social media is exposing us to like the possibilities of the endless possibilities that are there now. And I think that it just shows people, and I think that this could be a blessing and a curse, that like it shows our youth and everything that it's possible to make a living not having to, just stick to the corporate norm.
Yeah.
Where you're going to school and shit like that. There's people that are artists that are selling insane amounts of money just off of Instagram.
Yeah.
There's people that are making a living just off of looking good, like being a model and shit like that. Insane.
Handsome
to me.
people can make tons of money just being handsome.
Insane to me, dude.
Yeah.
It sucks because like, I'm not blessed with good looks. Like, why is that ain't fucking fair? I guess I'm a little bit more creative than them people, so I have to.
You have to work just a little bit harder,
just
man.
a little bit harder.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, that's all right. We're similar looking men, red beards and tattoos, and
But that's part of society, right? That's
it's society.
Society said, finish school, go to college, get a good job, find a wife, make babies.
Yeah.
And which is where I think the millennials actually have it right, where they're like, I don't have to follow that anymore. Like I'm not lazy. I just don't want what you want anymore.
That's exactly it. It's not that we're fucking lazy. It's that I don't know. I think of a perfect example of like my mother. Like my mother is corporate life her entire life, worked her way all the way up. So she has always instilled in me that secure lifestyle. My father did too, because like he struggled coming up. Like he was blue collar, like busting his ass to work and make a buck. So he never wanted me to have to do that hard work. They wanted me to be able to just, sit in an air conditioned office, get a good paycheck, 9 to 5. But like, it's just not what the fuck I want. Like I would rather die than keep doing that. And granted, I am doing that now and I don't hate it. Like I actually like my job now, but that's still not exactly what I want to do. Like it's not my passion to do that. And I think adults and older people like that, I think in the past like 5 years, I think that they started to understand it a little bit more. But before that, like it was unheard of. Like if I would go up to my mom and say like, hey, like whenever I started the clothing company, I was like, Mom, I'm going to start this clothing company. And, I think it's going to go well. And, she was always very skeptical, like super supportive, but like skeptical because like, it's not that corporate secure lifestyle where you're going to, be able to have money to fall back on and shit like that. But I think nowadays it's more like understandable that is a possibility, that is something that's like attainable, absolutely attainable, especially if anyone for kids nowadays.
Yeah.
It's like schools now are catered to people that are different because I mean, like, there's still the regular people that want to go to school and learn and shit like that and go to college, but like you have tech classes that are like in school. They have tech workshops. They got like my high school right now has this insane tech lab where I guess you learn programming, like video game programming, just wild shit. And you know, back then I didn't have that. You know, I didn't have that option.
Yeah, I didn't have any of that either.
Yeah, you definitely didn't.
And I think the reason why, you know, your parents want you to sit in an office and work and get that 401k or whatever is because they don't think that a t-shirt company can last the next 60 years of your life.
Yeah.
You know, and honestly, you probably won't want to make t-shirts for the next 60 years of your life.
Oh,
You're going
absolutely.
to evolve and break away and make bigger things.
Yeah.
So all that stuff is just a stepping stone that they can't see the next process of it.
But you could understand why, though. I mean, you
Yeah.
have a kid. Now, you obviously want the best for her.
Yes. I
And
do.
now, in your experience of being a father, if your kid came up to you and said, "Oh, like I want to do something different," like I think that it's a benefit because you yourself, I say this lightly, but a creative. I use that as a good way to describe, you know, people that aren't living that corporate life. Like
Yeah.
a creative is a good way, I feel, to a good general description of people. So you're a creative. I feel that, you know, if your daughter wanted to do something different, you would be more lenient, not lenient, but you'd be more understanding of her
Of course.
to do things
Yeah.
like that, rather than just having, you know, parents that work that 9 to 5 life and that have been stuck in that for the last 40 years.
You know, I also like raised my kid. So I watched her grow and I know what she's capable of and what she's not capable of.
Yeah.
I know that her going through school was just her, like me, just going through school. It was, as soon as she walked through the doors, she put herself on autopilot. She did what was required and she was done.
Yeah, you're serving time.
Exactly. That's all you're doing. Which is a waste because schools are maybe just now changing after so many years.
Yeah, just now.
You know, but when she was like, should I go to college? And I was like, no. Like, why would you go to college? Do you know what you want to do with your life? If you want to be a lawyer or a doctor, go to college, man.
Yeah.
Like, put in the time, do whatever it is. But if you just want to go to get a degree in business or whatever, like, that's just a waste.
Yeah,
to
it's
be
a
honest
waste
with
of
me.
money.
Go to a tech school, man. Like, you know, learn a trade. Those are the jobs that we need people in.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
Teachers are in low, like we're running out of teachers. We're running out of nurses. We're running out of health professionals. And I think that's also the downside of where our youth is going.
Yeah.
Because they see what's on Instagram. They think that they can all make tons of money, you know, with SoundCloud, with, you know, being models, but they're all like pushing to have those celebrity type jobs, and we're running out of people that we actually need. You know, people good. What am I trying to say?
Everyone's trying to fast forward to be like the celebrity life, and they're not just like, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
There's not
we still
people.
need plumbers, man. We
Yeah,
still need.
you still need people that are doing shit, that are doing trades and everything like that. And my last podcast that I had on was a perfect example. Like Brian Kennedy is a kid who, you know, he's a creative just like me, just like you, but he lives that blue collar life. Like he's a welder and he fucking loves it. He embraces it. It's something he's always wanted to do. He went to school to be a machinist and then just developed his trade to be a welder. And, you know, he's going to cater that to what he wants to do in life. So whether it wants to be building bike frames or, you know, fabricating other parts, like it's just the way that you could use your creative outlook and, you know, manipulate that to work with your everyday job. I mean, that's the goal for everyone, I guess, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the end, is to be your own boss and make money to be able to pay your own bills.
But I think that's also the problem. Like, we all can't be our own boss.
Yeah, we all can't be.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And everyone wants to be. Everyone wants to be like, you know, that alpha that's, you know, in charge and the boss. But I mean, like, there's nothing wrong with being there's nothing wrong with being an employee I mean, you don't have, who's to say that you have to do that forever?
Yeah.
Like my job now, like I don't hate my job, but it's necessary evil. Like
I agree. Yeah.
it's not something that I want to do for the rest of my life. I wouldn't necessarily hate it, but you know, it's not what I'm passionate about. It's not what I wake up every morning thinking about. Like shit with this podcast is like, you know, even if I don't want to think about it, it's in my head. And I'm sure tattooing is the same thing with you. Like whether it's, you know, I got to finish this drawing, I got to finish this, I got to finish this project. And, you know, whether it's me doing a podcast or you finishing a piece, I'm sure we have that same sort of like itch that needs scratched.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's interesting to talk to different people that do different things and how they get by and make shit work with that. Like I definitely wanted to have him on, and I had such a good response with the last one because he's just, you know, like you were saying before, like everyone I have on here genuinely kind of has something that they do. Like you're a tattoo artist, rappers, beekeepers, whatever.
You're right.
This guy was just like, you know, he's just a welder, but every one of those people, like I'm just a machinist, or not a machinist, but I'm just a designer at a machine shop, but I do this podcast. But like all these people, like I was sitting on my porch one day thinking like every single person in that house has like a crazy story. And like, I'm not even that interesting, but I feel like I have an interesting story. That's why I like talk to all these different people, because the way they think about things is like what I love about this, because like the way that you think about all the things that you do, you know, that just opens up. Those are like little pieces that just open up other doors that allow me to think of things differently. Does that make sense?
No, that makes total sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I just like to be exposed to different thoughts about people that people have, like whether it be like the religion shit or the jobs or whatever. But what you were saying about like kids is super interesting, because like it's almost like people want to skip, you know, the trade. Like back then, to go against the grain was like was learning a trade and being someone who works in a trade. But now to go against the grain is becoming a SoundCloud rapper, or something along the lines of that.
And I mean, like I said, I wish everyone gets their dreams come true, but it's impossible. It won't happen.
It won't happen, but the cream always rises to the top.
That's right. And which are the ones that are gonna like say, all right, you know what? Forget about my dreams. Forget about my goals. I'll just go work this shit. That's the sad part of America. You know what I mean? That American dream that dies knowing that their expectations were way too high.
Yeah, but those people are just people that, you know, I feel that they just don't want it bad enough. Because even
That's
if you
true.
don't make
Yeah,
it there,
absolutely.
like I failed at 1,000 things. Like that clothing company, you know, I fucking pissed away crazy money in the beginning with that. But like, you know, I would never give that up that I did that. You know, I think of my life as a book, and Lost Boys Clothing is definitely a chapter. Like at that point in life, that was everything I wanted in life. Everything that was put out on them clothes every single day, whenever I would wake up, I would live and breathe that clothing brand. And, you know, it's just like, as we were saying before, like you change, your life changes. You want different things. Yeah. And it's just, I grew out of that stage in life. And I mean, I don't know. You just got to keep progressing in life. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And you've been, oh Jesus, we've been talking about all kinds of random shit. It's a good podcast though. So you came up here and full circle again, we were talking about your mom and how you tattooed her. But so you tattooed your mom. Now you moved up here by yourself?
Yeah.
Now what made you want to come to Pittsburgh?
School.
Art Institute.
I knew that I had to get out of Florida. I knew that if the longer I stayed there, the more I would just fall into a routine, end up getting one of those jobs where I just kept working it the rest of my life. And so I've always known that I was going to do something more, that I was going to, that I just needed to grow, man, spread my wings in a cheesy sense. But came up here, went to school.
At the Art Institute?
Yeah, which was a huge waste of time and money. I recommend no one.
I've never in my life heard of anyone that's went there that said like, oh, it was sick. I would definitely say go there.
Yeah, no, it's because it's ridiculous. None of us are doing what we went there for.
But why did you even want to go there? Like, how did you even hear about that place?
Society says like, if you want to be creative, you have to build websites or make video games or be a photographer. You know, like here's all these markets that they exploit that really do not they don't let you go anywhere. Mainly because the instructors there have jobs in their field and they're working at the Art Institute because they're not getting paid enough. And if you do the math, you have thousands of kids graduating twice a year with the same degree, and it's just completely flooded.
That's a good point to think about.
And that wasn't something that I even thought about while I was going there. It wasn't until I got out and I actually got a job in my field and started doing it that I was like, this is terrible. Like, I hate designing food labels. This sucks.
That's what you were doing?
Yeah, I just went out. So one day I walked into the office and I was like, I'm done. Like, I don't have a window. I want to go home.
So wait, let me rewind this real quick. Now, in Florida, was the Art Institute of Pittsburgh like some prestigious school, or like, was it just luck of the draw you got up here?
Well, my sister lived up here. So
okay.
It was kind of like, she was like, oh, my friend went to the school and she was doing big things, but she went years before I did. And she ended up working at the city paper, which, anyone that's doing something in media, you kind of look up to because you're like, oh, well, you did it. You're like part of that percentage that went to school and now you're head of the art department in the, city paper. So I'll take your word that, I should go to this school.
And you got suckered in.
Yeah.
So what was your major there?
Web design.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you went to school to be a web designer, and now you're a pretty well-known tattoo artist. So out of school, what you were designing food labels?
Yeah, I worked at a place called Swan Label and Tag, and they basically designed and printed labels that go on all sorts, what is it? Silver Star Meats.
Yeah, I know exactly.
They
did
what that all is. Silver Star Meats. I did a bunch of Silver Star Meat stuff. And then one day, man, I was like, because I take the bus all the way from Dormont to Coriopolis.
Holy shit.
And that was terrible because you have to do that in the morning in the snow. And at that time, I had custody of my kids. So I'm like, we have to bus to the daycare and then have to bus all the way back there. And it's every single day. And it really hit me that one time I just looked up and I looked around and there was no sunlight in my office. And I was I went and I bummed a cigarette just so I could go stand outside and hold it and had a reason to be outside.
Oh, I say that all the time. I quit smoking cigarettes 4 years ago. It's fucked up that people could just go outside for a cigarette break. So you know what I did? I just started walking outside for a couple minutes.
Yeah.
I'll go outside and I don't have to be smoking a fucking cigarette.
But I was making more tattooing on the weekends than I was
than at your job.
At that whole job.
Now, do you think that job helped you at all whatsoever?
Yeah, it helped me hate the work force. Getting up at 6 a.m, man.
It gave you motivation to not ever want to fucking do this again.
It was a reminder that I do not fit in that box. That door that I had closed previously to want tattoos, I should have stuck that route in. And I believe it was because of my mom's accident that I was you have to give it 100%. You have to take that risk.
Can I ask what happened to her?
She got struck by lightning.
What?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she was...
Oh, my God.
Finishing up the dishes, and she got struck by lightning. Yeah, in Florida. And so she's been recovering, actually, ever since. And I tell you what...
When was this?
This is 2005.
She got struck by lightning. She was in the house.
Yeah, she was in the house. And the storm was coming in. She was living in Cocoa Beach, and she was finishing up the dishes, and fucking lightning hit her. Yeah.
Jeez. I don't mean to laugh.
No, I mean, it's my family doesn't, we're all about humor. She has a Steelers jersey that says Sparky with 05 on it. Yeah.
That's good. You got to have the good. You got to have the silver linings of things.
It's all a joke now. Like if my mom forgets something, we just blame it on
Now,
her.
was it bad? Like,
We were all really, really worried. She was like 1 year away from retiring from Disney.
oh, she worked at Disney.
Oh yeah, she was
Damn, that's dope.
yeah, and she was pretty like she had a really good job at Disney to the point where they like held her job for a year, hoping that she would be able to come back.
Oh, wow.
Because months after she got hit, she went back to work, but then she would have seizures because of like too much input, and
Holy shit.
they don't really know why. Like you have to go through all these tests to prove that it was lightning that caused this, because no one believes that like lightning strikes that you could survive one. So they had to like get a doctor from another state to come in to evaluate. And then of course, insurance companies are like, no, we're not going to pay for that. That's lightning.
Holy
You know what I
shit.
mean? And so it's been a really long road for her. But she never takes a smile off her face, man. She's always the first one to crack a joke and smile and just,
Holy
you know.
shit.
And on top of that, man, she's never met a decent man in her life. Like, her 3 husbands are all scumbags.
yeah, just never had a break.
Yeah, but the fact that she keeps going, man, she pushes, she won't
Wow.
quit on life. Like, kind of reflected back, and I'm like, man, if my mom isn't gonna let all this shit put her down or tell her no, I'm not either.
Yeah, like
I'm
why
just-
would you?
Yeah, and that's like half of life is everyone spends, just being like, oh, I can't do this or I can't do that or so and so hurt my feelings.
Yeah, it's
Like,
depressing, dude.
Yeah.
I
You
used to
can't
be
live like that.
such a depressing, like I think about the way I was in high school and shit, and like, I think that it's you can't compare it to that, because like you have like girls and like you being young in there, and I was just like a bleak person, always just like miserable, listening to terrible music that's like fuck you girls and just like the real heavy shit.
Yeah.
But nowadays I sincerely try to be as pleasant as I could be. A lot of people think that I'm miserable. My old boss at Threads used to say that I was miserable, but it's not that I'm miserable. It's just like I'm actually pretty pleasant. I just have so much shit going on in my head that I might not like, be all bubbly, like engaging in you, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty fucking happy.
Yeah.
Like I'm happy with life. I get overwhelmed and I get stressed just like everyone else, but I'm generally a glass half full guy.
Yeah.
Now, can I ask you this? I have to ask you this. Did she remember things? Like, does she remember anything happened? Does she have them crazy marks on her that you would see on?
No, she doesn't. She does remember some things, and I think that's the only part of my mom that has not fully come back is her. So when you want to think of an actor in a movie,
Yes.
you like have this like weird trail that you follow to find that actor, and then all of a sudden it just pops into your brain, and you're like, oh, that's what it was.
Absolutely.
Which we don't really control that part of the brain. It just like, who was in that movie? Do. Oh, there it is.
It's like in that movie Dreamcatcher with the filing cabinets.
Yeah.
That's how I think about it.
I think with my mom, it takes her a lot longer, and she doesn't get that like where it pops right back in her head.
Yeah.
Like I'll talk to her a day later, and she's like, "Oh yeah, hey, I remembered it." You know what I
That
mean?
is
So it's just-
incredible.
there's like a little bit of a lag.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people still treat her as if she's broken, and she's not. Like she can handle.
Can you
so
tell
much
that
more.
she's like been like is she physically like all right?
Physically, she's all right.
Yeah.
But your brain runs so much. Like if your brain gets tired, your body gets tired.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is a whole nother subject when I think of like there's always 2 people inside of us. And so with her, when I'm talking to her, I know if I'm showing her like vacation photos and I'm explaining each part of the vacation photos and what's in the photo,
Yeah.
I can see her level like wearing down, and then I know
okay,
to
okay.
back off.
Yeah.
But recently, man, I for last Mother's Day, I went and I bought her a shitload of CBD shit.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, dude. And
Helps her out.
Yeah. And better than any medication that she's been taking. Cause like if it thunderstorms, dude, she gets into a panic mode. You know what I mean?
bet.
Like a PTSD. And before she was taking anxiety pills and stuff like that, and it just wasn't working. As soon as I gave her a packet of like high CBD gummy bears,
Yeah.
dude, she ate those and she was like, Michael, I need more of that. Like
That's
what helped me.
incredible.
So now I think I'm really hoping that they legalize marijuana. I'm really hoping that she can somehow get on that list or that card or whatever.
So it's readily accessible when she needs it instead of her just having to like fucking find someone to get her or whatever.
Yeah. Because I think the CBD is good for like starter people.
Yeah, absolutely.
But eventually you need to upgrade.
Yeah. You
'cause
think
I
so?
know that I have. Yeah. Like I started doing like CBD just to relax and to see what the effects were.
Yeah.
And then I started giving it to my dog, and it started working so well on my
I hear
dog.
so many good things about pets.
Oh yeah. He doesn't shake at thunderstorms anymore.
And that's what you originally gave it to him for, was like anxiety type
Yeah.
shit?
Yeah. And then it started working for his allergies.
Wow.
But even then, for me, I had to graduate to something more if I wanted to relax. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think we've talked before about like the situations in me smoking marijuana, and I would just get sick because I'm like smoking a blunt at a time for my first time, and it's like, oh, of course you get sick because you smoked the fucking blunt, dude. Take a hit and let it go. Just
Cold
but then-
sweats, you're all fucked up.
So I don't know my limits by any means, but we ended up making pot butter and making cookies, and I would just freeze the cookies, and then every once in a while I'd go grab a cookie and I'd eat. And if I was flying to another country or something, I would take them with me.
Yeah.
And I would eat them, and I'd put on a stupid movie and laugh and fall asleep for 5 hours.
And you feel benefits to it.
Yeah, yeah. Which
Now, is there any negative you feel from it?
no,
Incredible,
not,
right?
Not one bit. Like it is. I can't believe that it's not legal, and I think it will become legal.
It has to be now. It's
randomly.
inevitable.
They're gonna do the same thing they did with gay marriage, right? They're gonna wait until something crazy happens and then just unleash it. Like you woke up one morning, all of a sudden, gay marriage is legal.
Huh.
You know what I mean?
That's a good way to think about it.
And I think it's because it's like, let's use that
Those
as
are
a
trial runs almost.
Yeah. Well, something terrible happened, and let's cover it up by giving the people what they want. You know what I mean? Because there was no reason.
In that way. Okay, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, because there was no reason why like marriage should be illegal. Like anyone should be able to marry anyone they want. That's
There's
just
a lot of
the way
wild
it
shit
goes.
going on in the world that you never could understand.
But people are like so against it. Like who cares? Why?
I feel like it all has to go back towards religion. Is there any other reason that people don't
even
agree
if
with
you
it?
look at religion, man, they were like, dude, guys were banging guys back in religious days too.
Well, one religious group, that was not the case, and that's gospel. Like it's nuts.
Yeah.
Really is an insane world.
Yeah.
And to be someone who is logical, like I consider you a very logical person. I've never, for you to be my tattoo artist, like I've sat with you, probably a total of, I mean, I can't even tell you how many hours, but like, and you are someone that we have great conversations the entire time. And I've never once felt like a judgmental type of attitude towards you. And that's another reason I love like Joe Rogan type person, because it's like he listens to things, consumes them how he wants, and develops his own opinion. And I think that that's the way with you. Like you have no dog in a fight, and I have no dog in a fight. And that's why I like hearing people's sides, because like I'm not afraid to change my mind. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I am open to things and hearing about things. But it is insane to think about, gay marriage wasn't a thing, 5 years ago, 10 years ago or whatever. And like to think about, I don't understand how people can't look at those videos of young kids having seizures and someone dropping 2 drops of CBD oil in their mouth and they just stop.
Yeah.
Like, is that not enough visual proof? But then you could go to work at your corporate job. All right. I can go to work at my corporate job and have my bosses and the managers say, "Oh, I can't wait to go home and have a fucking beer. Can't wait to go home and have a scotch."
Yep.
But I technically can't go home and smoke a bowl on my couch and watch TV. It's a wild world we're living in.
It's so weird. It's so weird.
It's bizarre.
You see all the bad, and it's right there, and none of us somehow we can't turn it. We can't turn it off. Like,
yeah, it's a bad TV show.
dude, I even something down to our emissions. You know what I mean? We know that it's bad. We could run all our cars off electricity or even water, but because there's a dollar bill in the mix, you can't have it.
Cigarettes?
And yeah, dude, yeah. I got addicted the first time I smoked. The first cigarette I smoked, I threw up, and then I was addicted for 15 years. Like, if that's not a fucking hardcore drug,
nuts, dude.
You know what I mean?
Nuts.
Like, I think even just 20 years before that, people were smoking on airplanes.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's insane to think about that. It's insane to think about, like, at one point in life, you know, you walked into Denny's and they say smoking or non-smoking.
Yeah.
And like, I remember going after church with my grandmother. I remember driving to Eaton Park with her windows rolled up while she had a cigarette lit, and then going to Eaton Park and having to sit and smoking.
Yeah.
And you're just like, Jesus. And like nowadays, that just shows you, like, in 15 years, it's a completely different world.
Yeah.
But yeah, the CBD shit is incredible. And that's it. I've heard so much good stuff about it helping animals and everything too, because like, my brother's dog had cancer. It was like an aggressive cancer at the end there. And I talked to Allie and I was like, Allie, is there anything that you could recommend that would help him out, that would take away some of his pain? And that's what she said, the CBD stuff. Unfortunately, like, the cancer got him too quick for me to even be able to do that. But it's insane to me. Like, I mean, just incredible possibilities.
Yeah.
It's
and
nuts.
that's not the only plant out there that is capable of changing our entire world. You know, even hemp, you know, just hemp, which is like illegal
Resources.
to grow.
Yeah.
Because for some stupid reason, it looks like cannabis, so that you're not allowed to grow it.
Who knows?
And it could change everything. Anything that you would ever need
Could be made from hemp.
Yeah.
I remember, in sometime, it might have not been in high school, but it might have been right out of it. They made the first, I believe it was like a Lotus car maybe or something, the brand Lotus, but some like high-end car made a car completely made out of hemp.
That's awesome.
Like the shell of it or some shit like that. And I just remember hearing about that. But yeah, I mean, people, it's just wild how people think about things and process things and how they deal with their own.
So yeah, it's been working for my mom, and she's of course graduating to more, I guess, of the vaping of it, and so she can do it on the go.
That's good though.
Yeah.
So you, I mean, this tattooing shit. Now, to get more into the technical side of the tattooing. A couple things that I was thinking about today, just to that I've always been curious about. Now, I remember one time, I think it might have been the first time we were getting tattooed, you were explaining to me that your skin can hold color differently, and it all depends on certain things. So today I was talking to my buddy who got a tattoo recently, and out of all the tattoos that he has, and he's pretty much covered, this one tattoo on his leg does not heal. It took way longer to heal, where if it would take like a week for it to like heal at first, like where it could like get all the scabbing off and everything like that, now it's like still like, you know, still like not oozing, but like it's just taking a real long time to heal, healing way worse. I'm curious to know, like, how do you develop it? It all has to be trial and error from whenever you start tattooing to throughout your whole career, as far as like different people's bodies and how things react and how people's bodies take things in. Over your experience, like, is that something that you noticed, like, from like all your different canvases of people?
I'll say that the longer I tattoo,
the
longer the list of problems can happen when getting a tattoo. I've started, you know, you almost have to get into someone's personal life in order to find out why their tattoo isn't healing well. For your friend, honestly, that could be, he could just be having an allergic reaction, to part of it, like that is not allowing it to heal.
Yeah.
All the way to there's bacteria there that he's not getting rid of that's constantly developing or growing stronger. Even to his skin cells think that the whatever new cells are being developed are bad cells, so it's constantly attacking it. I tell people after they get tattooed by me to leave it on for the first night. Just leave the wrap on, because you don't know what's in your bed. I had a client who contacted me, and she's like, "Hey man, this thing got infected." And I'm like, "All right, well, let's run through it." And she's like, "Well, after I took off the wrap, I washed it, I let it breathe for a minute, and then I put my tattoo goo on it." And I was like, "Tattoo goo?" I hadn't heard that in years. And I said, "Well, how old is your tattoo goo?" And she's like, "Oh, it's about 5 years old." And I'm like, "You know how much bacteria was building in that canister over the last 5 years of you not touching it? And you just wipe this bacteria like straight across your tattoo, and now it's fucked up?" Like, yeah, that's going to happen.
That's a good way to think. It's a good point.
Anytime you open your aquaphor, air gets in there, means bacteria gets in there. If you have that for more than 6 months, it's got a little city of bacteria growing in there that you're now going to wipe on your tattoo if you use it. So it goes like, even, I think my house is relatively clean. But, my dog's a mess. He sheds. He has allergies. He shits in the yard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, might walk through it.
Yeah, there's like all messes of things that could hurt a tattoo. I think my main thing is the ointment that people put on it. Like, you should buy new ointment every single time. But I could literally write a list for the rest of my life
of different reasons.
Yeah.
That's interesting because every person's body is different. So
They are, yeah.
I mean, you have to adapt to now in the moment of you tattooing someone. Can you tell, like, while you're tattooing, like, can you tell differences in people?
A little bit. It's very, like, because everything is so fresh, and by the time I get done with the tattoo, it still hasn't been long enough for the body to determine which way it's going to heal.
Yeah.
Being a tattoo artist, most of our setup as tattoo artists is to protect ourselves from the people, because we see more of them than they see of us. With that being said, Pittsburgh doesn't have any criteria or laws. Like, you don't need a bloodborne pathogen certificate. You don't need anything to just open up a shop and start tattooing.
Really?
Yeah. You technically don't even need anyone to come pick up your used needles.
Why?
I don't know. They just never did. The health department just never made any ruling on it.
Is that common? Like, is anywhere else's around the United States
Not
like that?
I know of. Everywhere else I tattoo, I have a license to tattoo there. I have to constantly keep up on my bloodborne pathogens to every city that I go to. And I go to like a dozen cities. And so each city, I need some sort of health department certificate stating that I understand my bloodborne pathogens and my sterilization. And I have a little slip saying that I can tattoo. Most of them are temporary, and you have to get them every single time you go. But
yeah,
you have to constantly be up on it.
Oh man, I didn't know Pittsburgh was actually. Now that I think I did know that, because if I donate blood, I think because in Pittsburgh, if you get a tattoo within like a certain year, you can't donate blood because Pittsburgh doesn't have them. I don't know if that sounds somewhat familiar.
They recently changed that, because now I guess they have machines that can detect, or they run the blood through every test.
That's pretty wild.
It goes in, but yeah, Pittsburgh just doesn't have those regulations.
Fuck it, right?
Yeah, right. The Steel City. So of course I take it upon myself to make everything as sterile as possible. Yeah. But once they leave, it's like there's a whole mess of things.
Yeah, you can't
happen.
Yeah, that's a good point. Now, do you have rewind this again. I'm curious. How did you start your whole process of learning how to tattoo? Like, did you start tattooing on random people as practice or yourself or?
Actually, no, I actually tried to do it the right way. I tried to get an apprenticeship.
Okay.
My roommate at the time, the guy I was living with, he actually tattoos here in Pittsburgh as well. And he's just a super awesome guy. His name is Mark Patrick, and him and I were roommates in Florida.
Mark Patrick,
yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so he was learning how to tattoo, and then he would come home and we would just talk about tattoos all the time. So he basically got me interested in it, and as he was learning, I felt like I was learning too. And then he moved out to Colorado, and then I moved out to Colorado, and I worked with him a little bit there. Yeah.
How long did you live out there?
I was only out there for a few months.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Sorry,
And then
interrupted
I moved
you.
back to Pittsburgh, and then he moved back to Pittsburgh. And basically, I would say he helped me develop the joy of tattooing and the techniques of tattooing, just through him and I discussing. But after a while, you kind of realize like, I'm ready to do this, and I just need to do this. So you tattoo a few people good enough to build a portfolio, so you could basically get into a shop and then do the flash and kind of build
Start
your
learning.
skill level. But the first tattoos you do will be garbage. Like, and luckily I did them on friends and family. You know, like I tattooed my brother.
He still has that tattoo?
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I
What
look
was
at it
it?
all the time. It's actually like a skeleton Virgin Mary, you know, but it was done super cartoony.
I would
myself.
love to see that if you ever get a picture of it.
I'll send you a picture of it. It's funny. And then of course I tattooed my roommates.
What was the first tattoo you've ever done?
It was, I would say the first tattoo I ever did was on the top of my knee. Just to kind of see what it felt like for me to tattoo.
Yeah.
And it's terrible. It's terrible.
What is it?
It's a bomb.
Oh, okay.
Like an old 50s missile with an angry face on it.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Man, tattoos.
But nobody wants to give you a break in tattooing. When you say, "Oh man, I want to tattoo," everyone just looks at you as an asshole. Because no one wants to teach you. If you even look at Pittsburgh, the scene is flooded. There are almost just as many tattooers as there are people getting tattooed.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, Pittsburgh's a little behind in the times as well. But I try to apprentice the right way. But after a couple failed attempts of that, it's pretty much just trial and error and trial by fire.
Yeah, and working into your own way of doing things.
I was lucky that I was an artist first, so I was basically just tattooing all the tattoo designs that I was already familiar with.
Yeah, because that was stuff that you were creating yourself.
Exactly, and I had been doing that for years. And my learning curve of tattooing took about 2 years before I actually got into a shop, and someone gave me a chance. And luckily, I met a lot of other artists that were really progressive, like Tim Pangburn. It was just amazing.
Is that Tim Victim?
Yeah, Tim Victim.
Okay, I never knew his last name.
Yeah, he went by Tim Victim at the time. He was super angsty. But he is a really rad dude, and he was like new school innovative.
Well, he was the first person that I remember personally hearing about that was doing tattoos, because I mean, the reason I know of you is because I know probably 8 people that have work done by you, and they're all my friends. Like Zach was the first guy that I knew.
Yeah.
Was Zach the first one out of all of our crew to get tattooed by you?
And he got like probably the weirdest tattoo I had done up until that point.
Which one was it?
I believe it was the it was the Virgin Mary.
Yeah, with the Louis Vuitton
Vuitton cloak. Yeah.
See, I love that.
Yeah.
I don't know how he feels about it, but I love that. I remember, and that's like, he is the first person that I think about whenever I think of the kid that had like tattoos and that was like the first person to really embrace it. Like I knew other kids that had like tattoos, but he was the one that like loved it. Yeah. And he actually like wanted to like make that commitment and get tattoos. So I was always like, you know, I always looked up to him in that regard because like he always had dope ass shit all the time. Always was such a good skateboarder.
Yeah.
Loved good music. Did tattoos. Like why? How couldn't you not want to follow in those footsteps? But like you did all these tattoos, and I loved all the new school stuff. Like I loved like the loud colors and like you know, the cartoony type look. And you know, you obviously you are with the company you keep, so like I knew that all these kids had work done by you. I knew that you did good work, so I went to you.
Yeah.
And like it's wild because like it all spider webs from there, I guess.
Yeah. And Zach's one of those guys that like he should be a tattooer. Like he would fit perfectly in because he has that like that entire quest.
Yeah.
Let's just say where we all have that same quest where
the same
he
life.
Loved it. He got so many of them. He hung around lots of tattooers, but for some reason he never like said, "All right, I'm going to be a tattooer," when he could be. You know what I mean? I honestly feel that he could be. He just needs to like realize it in his own head. And if he did realize it in his own head and then somehow he took it back, I haven't seen him in a while. For all I know, he could be tattooing right now. Who knows? But
he ain't. But
he could be. He has the same track.
He's too critical of himself. He is. You know, I'm going to have him on here too.
Yeah.
I do want to have him on here, and you know, like he's definitely he's an influential person of my, you know, I call it style, but like, you know, those kids, the skateboarder kids, was like, that was my life growing up. Is like, that's all I think about whenever I was younger, is like the as far as like style, music, life of living it. And even though I sucked at it, I loved it. But he's just too critical of himself. I want him to do all these things because he's so talented and so great at it. And he has such a talent. But I mean, you gotta just not be afraid to like, you know, get kicked in the fucking head and like,
you got to put 100% in it, man.
Yeah, and regardless.
And no look backs. That's the problem. You just cannot look back at any of those mistakes. And being a tattooer is like who you are. It shouldn't even be like, oh, my name is Mr. Michael Patrick. It's just tattooer Michael Patrick. Like, that is my surname. Because all your friends are become tattooers. It's what you wake up talking about. It's what you fall asleep talking about. You don't really talk about anything else or do anything else but tattooing.
Yeah, it's just your life.
Yeah, I don't make art for fun, you know, or I make art because I like it, but I don't just like paint for myself. Like it's all tattoo related.
Yeah.
I'm painting it or drawing it so I can eventually tattoo it.
Yeah, and I love you do that.
All what it's about.
Like you, like I even have one of your pieces. You have a lot of like original artwork that you post on your Instagram, and you say, "Yo, this is my piece. I want to do it. I'll hook it up. Come by." And like, I think it's cool because like, you know, it is your artwork. So like, I understand that like, there's not really like a lot of room for variant there because it's like your pieces, but you're also like hooking up, you know, doing it for someone.
Oh yeah.
And
they're getting it like way cheaper than he would if they would have just asked for it.
Yeah, dirt cheap, but it's like, I think it's sick because like I have this rat that's the skateboard rat on my thigh, and like, you know, like it's almost like buying art prints of someone because like, you know, if you think about it, like I've talked to my mother, you know, numerous times, and tattoos are the only thing you could buy that you'll never ever lose unless you get your fucking leg cut off. No. But you know, it's worth it, you know, and I think it's sick. You have all them original pieces and like you can just pick from it and just fuck it, do it. Yeah.
Whenever I go to tattoo conventions, I lay them out and I'm like, this is the price. This is what I'm doing. And I don't know. That's how I get better at tattooing is by doing those pieces and just mixing it all together. You know what I mean? If I'm just going to sit and, like I said, do black and gray skulls all day, I'm not going to progress nearly as much as if I'm going to take risks
with a bunch of colors and
that
shit.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, incredible. That piece of cake you did the other day with like the pinks and stuff in it.
Yeah.
Like I love all the colors of it. I just love all the colors in tattoos. And like I've told you even before, the my favorite tattoo I think that you've ever done was like the barber type dude. It was like the sleeve. It was like the cartoony like monster looking guy with like the barber type girl, and then
That's right. Yeah.
yeah, you know what I mean. Like I
Yeah.
love that one. That was the original one that I seen. That I was like, I fucking love it. You know, that was so sick, and I just I think that it's, you know, I've always been fascinated by it. Now, how do you? I think it would be awesome to be in a position where you're not taking like walk-ins and shit like that, because like that allows you to be more, you know, selective with what you do. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And now, how do you? Is there any types of tattoos that you don't do?
Yeah, there's actually quite a few tattoos I don't do. I've gotten to the point where I feel like I'm an elitist when it comes to tattooing, and I don't want to go there, and I don't ever want to come off as that. But like,
Yeah.
if someone comes in and they're like, "Hey, man, I want this whole like scripture down my ribs," I'm not doing that. Like, I'll do maybe 3 or 4 words on a tattoo, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
I don't do anything hateful. I don't do anything racist. I don't do anything gang related. And I don't do anything super realistic. That's a lot of times people come to me and they're like, "Oh, I saw you did this, you know, really great piece. I just want a really great piece. I want this realistic portrait." I don't do realism because I know that I use too many colors.
Yeah.
And that just won't make it realistic. And getting in people's heads to figure out exactly what they're envisioning based off what they're feeling they want their tattoo to be is a really tricky situation.
That's a good way. That's a good point to.
I did recently do a Bill the Butcher. I don't know if you saw that, but that's about as realistic as I get.
Bill the Butcher from Gangs of New York.
Yeah.
I did see that.
Yeah.
I did see that, and I swear that whenever I did see that, I think I was surprised because it was a realistic type
Yeah.
portrait, because it's not usually something that I think of you doing. Whenever I think of portraits by you, I think of like you know, the cartoony, like almost like a caricature, but but not like as exaggerated. You know what I mean? But that I think that that's a benefit, and I think that also is I think that that's better for the customer. Like, I think about it from my point of view. It's like, yeah, you could definitely just get a quick money grab. Like, oh, I want to do this and get a quick money grab. But like, it's cool that you, like, if that's not something that you 100% love, like, I wouldn't want you to do it.
Yeah. If you look at like how many, like one of the things I love to do is dog portraits.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to make them super realistic. You can exaggerate a dog portrait, and it just makes it even better. But how many dog portraits see out there that just look like shit?
Yeah, that's a
what I
good
mean?
point.
Because that artist doesn't know their limit, and they're too worried about making their money instead of doing a good tattoo.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when you have, like 12 shops on East Carson Street. Not to bash any one of those guys, but a lot of those guys, there's tattoos that they should not be doing, but they need to make rent.
That's it. Yeah, that makes sense to think about it like that. You have to do that. Yeah. Now, that's pretty interesting to think about, because like you have to do it. And I mean, if people were coming in, if you're just starting out, like you might not be able to be as selective as you want with the styles and everything. But I feel like that also is going to help you. Like, I'm sure in the beginning, whenever you started out, you were doing shit that you didn't want to do. And I mean, it has to help you out. Like, it has to benefit you in some way. Like, you learn it and you do it. Now, what's it like for you to like see old work that you did? Like, are you super critical of old stuff that you did?
I'm super critical of new stuff that I do. I go home at night and I lay in bed and I look at like every little inch of the photos that I take, and I'm like, what could I do better? When I see them again, what can I change? The old stuff, I love when people come in with their old stuff and let me rework it, because ultimately they're going to get an even nicer tattoo, and I get to do on that tattoo what I was incapable of doing so many years ago.
Yeah.
And anytime that you can, you know, like just have that progression, a before and after photo for it, I don't know. It's just something that I love to do. I love reworking my old tattoo. So if even your rat's not that old, but like for me to go back into that, there's so many more things that I see in it now that I would have done then. Like just even more tufts of hair, like random tufts of hair to make it more dynamic.
Yeah, make
it's
it look more
never ending. I could work on your leg sleeve every month till we're old men, and it would just keep getting better and better.
Yeah, I mean, because like you could definitely tell the level of difference from tattoos, like between like my leg and like my rat, just like small things you could tell the difference, and like they're both great. It's just you could tell that like there was 10 years difference of like veteran time where you're like pouring every bit into it,
and that goes with the technique. The longer I tattoo, the better techniques I get.
Absolutely.
The more, just tattooing, application of a tattoo is so important. Where, if you have your set application on a tattoo, you're not going to get any overworking. You're not going to get any damage of the skin, which means the tattoo is going to heal up really quick, which is going to heal up really nice. So I think that's a huge aspect too, is balancing technique in applying a tattoo to the artwork of the tattoo. If both of those are on the same level, you're going to get an amazing tattoo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, now this is something else that I was thinking of. Now, whenever you have people coming in and asking you for a tattoo, like for instance, like me, I came to you with a general idea. I was like, I want a leg full of all the people from the Monster Squad. Okay, I really didn't have like a huge like rigid outline of how I wanted it or where I wanted it, but I'm sure you have people that come in that do have like a pretty identical setup, like how they want things. They want it exactly like this. Now, what is your thoughts about that as far as like someone coming in and wanting something exactly like it, as to someone who comes in and just gives you ideas and asks for you to have your input in it? Do you understand what I'm asking? I don't know how to phrase it really.
That's actually really tricky because you like have to walk the line of offensive.
Yeah.
If someone brings me a pre-existing tattoo and they're like, this is what I want.
Yeah.
I have to tell them no, right? I cannot tattoo the same thing that is tattooed on that person.
Yeah.
Because someone paid a lot of money to have a custom artist tattoo that on them. So I'm like, what is it that you like about this that we can give you? But in some cases, if they're like so specific and they want the exact same elements, I have to either figure out a way to rearrange them so it's different, or I just have to turn the whole thing down.
Yeah.
It's a matter of how much you are going to trust me to do a good job. And that's what a lot of people don't understand, is when they're going to get a tattoo, they're trying to figure out what they can get based on their artist. And you get a lot of information from your friends and your family, which is why I don't send drawings out to people, because they start getting way too much input.
Yeah.
I'm getting kind of off topic here, but if someone comes in and they have a packet and they're like, this is exactly what I want to a T, I'm not budging, that's something I can't do either. You have to trust me to give you the best tattoo that I can possibly give you. That's my job.
That's what I'm getting at.
To give you the most amazing tattoo ever. When I'm sitting down and I'm drawing a tattoo for you, I'm thinking about how much you're going to love this and how much everyone else is going to love it as well. I want everyone to love this tattoo and to see it across the room and just need to look at it, because that's my job, right? That's what's going to get me the next guy who wants a tattoo.
Yeah, and that's
and
obviously,
so on and so forth.
that's you have our best interest. You have your client's best interest
Absolutely
in mind. But, I feel like I wanted to bring that up because like some people that do come in, and like I can only imagine the type of fucking some people have to be fucking assholes that just come in and be like,
read that Yelp review.
just be like, dude, I want this exact thing right here. But like, I wanted to bring that up. Like, I didn't have like a super rigid idea because like, I'm not a tattoo artist. I don't know what is great, what's not, what works well, what doesn't. And you obviously do. Like, that's what your job is that's what you learn over 10 years. So like, it's ideas. It's like I'm giving you the inspiration of what I want, and like you said, you just have to trust you. And I mean, you're a trustworthy guy over the years.
You know, and that's the thing. You have to. I know that tattoos aren't cheap, right? You know, you typically, if you're going to get a custom tattoo, you're going to be paying a good deal for it.
Absolutely.
I think what a lot of people don't understand is you're only paying for that time that we are sitting in those chairs tattooing. You're not paying for the hours upon hours that I'm sitting at home drawing.
Yeah, the creative end of it.
My girlfriend, ignoring my dog, trying to get this thing perfect.
Yeah.
And that's where the trust comes in. You have, if you like what I do, you have to trust that I'm going to give you something equally, if not better. Because I typically wouldn't want to tattoo anything on anyone that I wouldn't want tattooed myself.
Yeah.
Even if the content isn't something I like, it has to be visually stimulating. You know, you take that guy who left me that Yelp review. He brought me a packet. He wanted everything to a T, and you know, he wanted to see like basically a fully rendered colored version of the tattoo before he even got it done. And I'm like, I can't do that.
That's exactly the example that I was like trying to make.
Yeah, I can't fully render every single person's tattoo. I can give you a sketch, and I can give you basically where I would put some of the color.
Yeah, general idea.
But it's all going to change once we get into the skin.
Absolutely.
There's textures that I'll develop while I'm tattooing, which makes the work that I do my work.
Yeah.
If so, people that want something to a T, or you get that person, it's like, oh well, I like the feathers on this wing. There's a billion feathers, but can you make this one little feather move just like a hair down? And it's like, will that mean anything? And by the time we're done, like, who is even to say that feather is going to?
No one's even going to look at that.
You want me to redraw the entire wing because the little feather needs to be moved an inch?
Yeah.
You know, I guess it's those people that are so insecure about getting the tattoo, but for some reason they want the tattoo. And those are also the people that just need to hand the tattoo over to me.
Yeah.
Because I know what to do. And obviously they're not, you know, good at making, or they're not good at trusting their own decisions.
Yeah.
Which is why they're asking me to do it.
Exactly. They're not 100% confident in what they're deciding.
And there's tons of things, man. I've painted an entire wall in my house thinking that I love this color when I should have just asked my lady what color to do it, because then I would have been happy, because it would have been her idea, not my idea. I was unhappy with the color of the wall, you know? Like, some situations people just know better.
Yeah,
you know?
man, for sure. It definitely is. It's super interesting to. I just feel like it's you know, it's almost like retail. Like the customer's always right, because like you're getting a tattoo on your body and stuff like that. But I just feel you have to deal with some people that are, you know, you just can't even deal with them. Like they're just their mental capacity. You just can't deal with them. Yeah,
and that's where you walk that line of offensive, because I don't want to offend anyone. I don't want to tell anyone their idea is dumb, because I don't, you know, professionally like it. It's just a matter of like finagling, because if you think about when tattooing started, it was basically the client just was like, I want that, and put it on the wall.
Yeah.
Take it down from the wall, and there you go. You tattoo that. And your job as a tattooer was to tattoo what they wanted on you. But then we've moved into this artistic realm where now as artists, as tattoo artists, we're able to create the content in which now you can pick from. There's artists, you know, single artists that are creating whole genres of tattoos now.
Yeah, like different kinds.
So there's so much more to pick from, and you just have to trust those people to do it.
Absolutely.
But of course, then you also, if you're going to get tattooed, you have to actually look at their work, see what they can do.
That's where
do
the
a little
person
bit of research.
Yeah, that's where you have to put in the work and the research. And you would, I mean, I would hope that someone that was getting a permanent work of art on their body does their research. I mean, there's definitely people that are just like, fuck it, I want to go get this, you know, get rich or die trying tattooed on me somewhere, you know, and they don't care who it's by or what it's by. They just want a cheap tattoo and they just want it on there. Like I remember in high school, people would have tattoo parties and like just insane to me. Like kids would come into high school and they're just like, oh yeah, I got this sick tattoo. And I'm just like, Jesus.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what the hell? But I mean, you're young. What can you think about there?
And that's, that's why I own my own place. That's why I work for myself.
Yeah.
Because I don't want those people, if the first question out of your mouth is, how much will this cost? I know immediately, like, all right, you're not looking for what I can do. You're looking for what can be done.
Yeah. Like, what could I afford?
Exactly.
Rather than like, what do I want exactly?
It's one thing if like, you're curious about a general pricing, you know what I mean? But when it comes down to it, if someone's just like, hey man, how much is a sleeve? I don't fucking know, dude. Like, I have no idea. I go by hourly.
Yeah.
And I just work if, I could say a tattoo the size of your hand could take anywhere from 3 to 6 hours. But if you sit like shit, it could take even longer. Should I pay for you needing breaks every 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Or should you pay for that?
And you have that, like, is there people that you tattoo that need breaks every?
There are. There are some people.
That's a shame.
But also that's one thing. It's like, you have to look at me. I know what you're going through. Everywhere where you've been tattooed or getting tattooed, I've been tattooed.
Yeah.
I know how it feels. I'm going to do the best to not make it hurt. You know what I mean? By paying attention, by, using my application to kind of breeze us through this. But ultimately, like, it is such like a hodgepodge of situations when it comes to tattooing that you really don't know what each client is going to be like until you tattoo them.
Yeah. Like Zach has told me that he's passed out before.
Zach is like I've never met anyone like Zach before.
That's what he said. He was like, dude, I'm the worst at it.
Yeah.
I was just
he worries about it the whole time until it happens. And like he even called me one time from a mall and he was like, oh yeah, dude, I passed out at the mall. And I'm like, dude, that was like hours after the tattoo, but I think with Zach, he just works himself up.
Yeah.
But typically if he gets woozy or whatever, he's fine the rest of the tattoo. And that dude has gotten he's covered. He's covered.
Yeah, you got a bunch of tattoos. Yeah. And I hear about like how some people take them, and like for me personal, I think the most I ever sat with you was like 7 hours.
That's a long time.
That was the milestone of Potomac.
Okay.
So that was I think we were doing a lot of like the fill-in shit, but it was like one night it was a later one and you were like, yo dude, I don't got shit to do. Like let's just do it. But it was never like, it definitely sucks. Like tattooing sucks.
Yeah.
None of it feels good. And I hate the people that are like, man, I love it. I love the way it feels. Like you don't love how it feels.
No.
Not a chance. Like nothing about it feels good, but you know what you're in for. It's just, I just put it out of my head.
It's really a mind game.
And that's why I talk to you so much.
Yeah.
I probably annoy you while you tattoo.
No,
and luckily you're a tattoo artist that like talks instead of someone who just has to put headphones in and go in their own place.
I definitely love having conversations when I'm tattooing.
Because
I feel like it you look up and it's been 3 hours and your tattoo's almost done.
Absolutely.
And you're like, oh wow, cool.
How long do you think we've been going right now?
I don't even know.
2 hours.
Has it been?
It's been 2 hours.
How long do these things usually last for?
They go for this is definitely a longer one. So let's button this up.
Okay.
I could talk to you forever. I feel like we haven't even touched barely anything.
Yeah.
That's all right. You can come on again. So the last segment of the podcast and my favorite part of the podcast is Desert Island Questions. So you fan of The Office?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so it comes from The Office. Whenever they get locked out, they play Desert Island Questions. So I give each guest 3 categories to watch, read, and listen to on a desert island. So the first category is watching. So you could take whatever you want, whole seasons, whole series, anything.
Oh man, that's super tricky because I'm one of those people that my favorite things are most likely the last thing that I watched. So I would end up like grabbing something that I just recently watched and
Yeah.
then didn't want to watch again, and
Yeah.
then I'd be stuck. But, man, something to watch. I would probably take Say Anything. The
Oh,
movie
that's
Say
good.
Anything.
Yeah. John Cusack?
Yeah,
That's a good one.
because I'm all about. It just has that perfect '80s feel, just nostalgic.
The 80s nostalgic and the love story in there too. That's the best.
All right, and what was the other one?
You got two more.
Shows.
You get three things to watch.
Oh man, okay,
I give three choices for each person.
okay.
Now, ahead of time, I could cut out any downtime. So,
You know what? I would probably take all the seasons of Game of Thrones as well, because that's a nice long watch. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
you
Span
currently
it up.
watch it?
I actually just got done watching it a few months ago, and then I probably started again in anticipation for the last season.
I don't watch it. I need to.
It's tough. You can't do anything else
I know.
while you're watching it.
It's
I
a
have-
super big commitment.
Yeah, I have
That's
a
why I
map
haven't yet.
that I place things on the map just so I know where people are at. Otherwise, I'm confused. I'm so lost.
Man, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
a smart idea.
Yeah, because I try to watch it while drawing, but it I was
It's
like,
something
who
you
is
got to
that?
probably
What is
pay
that?
attention to.
Yeah.
That's why I haven't done it yet. I'm going to just wait till it's done because this is the last season.
Yeah,
I'm going to just wait till it's done and then just binge it one day. But Game of Thrones is something that people have said on here and something that I definitely need to get into. So Say Anything, Game of Thrones.
and Back to the Future.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Would you take the whole trilogy?
I would probably take it just in case because I'm a planner. You know what I mean? Just
I only
'cause
like the
wanted
first
one.
and the second. You can keep the third one.
Yeah. I don't. The Wild West one.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
I've never watched the whole thing. Terrible.
Yeah.
But I love the second one too. You know,
Yeah.
I do love it. So Say Anything, Game of Thrones, and Back to the Future. That's a good choice. Those are that's a good variety right there. Definitely good. Your reader?
I am not a reader.
Okay, so this is gonna be even better. Now I usually tell people if they're not a reader, for 3 books to take with them, they could take video games with them, but I'm sure you're not a video game guy, right?
I just recently became a video game guy.
What game?
Well, I decided in order to learn how to relax that I would play some video games, so I wasn't constantly like drawing all the time and feeling like I had to create all the time. I could just play video games. So I got Fallout 3.
Yeah.
And I've been playing Fallout 3 for like almost every night, like 4 hours a night. And I was surprised at how much I liked it.
You enjoy it?
Yeah, I do enjoy it.
Have you played Red Dead Redemption yet?
I also bought Red Dead Redemption. These are all for the PS3, mind you. Like I haven't graduated
Okay.
to anything because I was like, I already had a PS3.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to spend all this money on games that I may not like. So I got the Red Dead Redemption for the PS3.
Yeah.
Which I haven't played yet. And then of course I play Gran Turismo,
Okay.
which I love. The
Okay.
car that I race looks exactly like the car that I drive.
Yeah.
So,
Now you have a Countryman.
Yeah.
That's what I call it, is a Countryman,
yeah, Mini Countryman.
and you lifted it.
I did.
No, I feel that was something that had to be brought up because it's very interesting.
Yeah.
I'll take those video games though. We'll
Yeah.
go with those 3.
Yeah, I would take those 3. Yeah.
All right, that works. You ever play? You said you didn't play Red Dead yet. I'm not a video game guy, and I just bought the new one.
Okay.
It is the most insane thing I've ever played in my life.
I think the world is too open for me. Like if you could be like trying to tame a horse and then a bear comes at you from behind, like that's too much stimulation for
It
me.
ain't that, but it's almost like that.
Yeah.
Like I would buy that game. I would spend $65 on that game just for the hunting and the fishing aspect of it. That's how good
Okay.
it is. It's so fun.
Yeah.
But okay, so those are good. Now the third category is music to take with
Okay.
you. 3 choices for music to take with you on a desert island to play over and over and over again. Cry, little sister.
I would definitely take the Despacitos album.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard that.
Yeah.
But it's pretty amazing.
That's
Connor Oberst.
yeah, Connor Burst, yeah. I couldn't think of his fucking name. Bright
What
Eyes.
else? I would take let's see here. Trying to think of maybe the Footloose soundtrack.
Oh. That's a good one.
Yeah, just because it has like
It's a good variety
Hero
on
on
there.
it, which is like my Get Up and Go song. That and 36 Chambers.
Okay. Yeah. Lil Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. You know, I think that for the Desert Island questions, I think that soundtracks are such a slept-on answer for
Yeah.
3. You know, I just bought the Gremlins soundtrack for on vinyl because I have a Christmas party coming up, and like, you know, I just been thinking of like what I want to listen to for the Christmas party.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just play that thing, and it's gonna be so good. And like, vinyl is such a trap.
Yeah.
You know, doesn't even sound good, is not convenient whatsoever, but it's cool because it looks cool.
Yeah.
You know, it's real hipsterish, and I like it.
Yeah. And let me say something. I started watching the Gremlins the other night.
Yeah.
And I got probably 5 minutes into it and pissed off and just shut it off. And I don't know if I'm gonna revisit Gremlins again.
What?
Yeah. So the part where the old lady comes into the bank,
Mrs.
and
Deagle.
First off, why'd he bring his fucking dog? Right? He could have just left his dog at home.
Yeah.
But he's like such a pussy about his dog.
Yep.
And like, oh, please don't take my dog. Like, if that was me, I would have been like, bitch, you're not.
Yeah,
like,
it's Sparta kick out
Yeah.
lady.
she would have got her fucking shit kicked the fuck out because you're not going to talk about taking and killing my dog
Yeah.
in front of me. And like, I got so pissed off that he was like such a baby about it. And then I was thinking
I'll
later
run it
on,
on spin dry on high heat.
yeah,
He goes, that'll do it all right.
yeah. I was so
Fuck
so
Mrs.
angry with it.
Deagle.
Yeah,
Honestly, though, don't speak ill about the Gremlins because that's probably going to be my next tattoo. Is
Yeah?
a Gremlins tattoo. We've been talking about it for
dude,
years.
I have a
years.
drawing of the Gremlins in hockey gear still.
All right. I mean, let's do it.
I
have-
do.
All right, we'll do it. It's set on here. Let's. I'm going to talk to you after this. We'll plan
Okay.
a day. I don't know how that's going to work. I got to figure out. So I was at jiu-jitsu the other day, and this dude that I was rolling with looked at my leg and he said, "Wolfman's got nards," and I was like, "Man." I was like, "You're fucking awesome."
Yeah.
Became friends instantaneously. I don't know how tattoos will do with jiu-jitsu though. I'm gonna have to see what's going on with
But
that.
you might need a little bit of downtime
Yeah, for sure.
just to heal it.
Okay. Second to last question is death row meal. Take as much as you want, whatever you want, from wherever you want.
Really? I just stopped eating dairy and land animals, so that's going to be tough.
I know that's a difficult.
Luckily,
thing.
I'm on a desert island, so I'm just going to eat poke the whole time.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a good choice. I had poke for the first time last year. Unreal.
Yeah.
There's a place in downtown right next to Gateway Plaza. It's called Pittsburgh Poke.
Really?
So good.
I'm going to have to try that.
They got big ass burritos too. Poke burritos. Real good. All right, so that one's good. And the last question that I ask everyone is if you could have a conversation with anyone alive or dead, who would it be and why?
Alive or dead? There's a lot of crickets going on.
That's
a
all right.
tough question, man.
It's the hardest question that anyone
Yeah.
can answer. Because people are like, I don't want to sound like a fucking idiot, like I didn't think hard enough, but, you know, people's answers are different. Like, everyone's answers are different.
I mean, I think I would want to, because I could see myself being like,
I figure you can go with 3 routes. You could either go to a family member or a loved one that's passed away. You could either go the route of someone where you could learn something, like someone that was pivotal in history, like a Martin Luther King or like a Albert Einstein, someone like that. Or you could just go to someone that like you think would be like genuinely interesting. Like last last one, I think about these answers all the time, and I hear what everyone says. A lot of people say relatives, but like I really think about someone who I would love to sit down and just talk with. And I keep going back to Robin Williams. It's like I would love to talk to Robin Williams or Richard Pryor. Even honestly, I would love to talk to Mac Miller.
Yeah.
I think that those would be great conversations. But there's so many people. Joe Rogan. It's hard for me to narrow it down.
Yeah, because I think I would definitely want to take the route of learning something that I didn't know. Kind of catching a glimpse, like maybe someone who had the answers.
Yeah.
In a sense. Maybe even you know what? I have a lot of space questions, so I would probably ask what the hell's his name?
Elon Musk, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah, Tyson.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
I have a bunch of space questions.
He would be good to talk to.
Yeah.
I saw him at Carnegie Homestead Music Hall a few years back. It was pretty interesting. He just got Me Too'd.
It's what?
Me Too'd, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah. Me
Too'd, like sexually harassing women.
Really?
By like 6 accusers, I think.
Are you
now.
serious?
Everyone.
Man.
Nuts.
Yeah.
Really is nuts. That's a whole different topic and a whole different podcast.
Yeah.
So take any time to promote anything you want to promote.
I guess just Milestone Tattoo, Dormont, Pennsylvania. I guess Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
That's all right.
Yeah. And if you don't follow Main Parade,
yeah, I feel bad. We didn't even fucking bring it up, dude.
Follow Main Parade. If you're a Disney enthusiast, follow Main Parade.
Yeah, and I'll put all this stuff in the link below. I apologize that I didn't even bring that up.
That's all right.
I literally, every time we talk, it's just, who knows where it'll go.
Yeah.
But, yeah, man, I really appreciate you coming over. Always a good conversation.
I would love to be on again.
Absolutely.
This is fun.
We got all kinds of fun stuff to talk about.
Absolutely.
Everyone else that's listening, last week for the giveaway, 10,000 downloads, go comment on the post on the Instagram, I'll call you right back. Give me a couple names of people that you want to see on here. That's all you have to do. I'm going to pick 3 different names on Sunday to win some stickers, a pin, and then the grand prize is a hoodie, stickers, and a pin. So just go comment some names. Everywhere else is I'll call you right back across the board. Email me. Let me know what you like, what you dislike. I'll call you right back at Gmail. And the most important thing, please take some time and rate and review this podcast. I appreciate everyone, and I'll call you right back.